Chapter 1578. Divine Ascension Pill. Actually, there isn't much enmity between us. Why don't we make a bet? Yun Feng quickly came up with a countermeasure in his mind. If he fought head-on, with Xie and Guoliang blocking, it would be hard for him to gain the upper hand. In fact, even the peerless killing formation could not be broken. If he could not break the ultimate killing formation, how could he capture the golden arowana fish king? How could he complete the mission? Hence, Yun Feng settled for the next best thing, which was to take away the golden arowana fish king openly. Hence, Yun Feng wanted to make a bet with Guoliang and the rest to win the golden arowana fish king. What kind of bet? Guoliang knew that Yun Feng was a crafty person, so he did not agree to Yun Feng immediately. Instead, he asked how the bet was going to be. Very simple. Yun Feng's lips curled into a sinister smile, as though he had a plan in mind. Alchemy, martial, aura suppression. 2 wins out of 3, how about that? What is alchemy, what is martial, and what is aura suppression? Guoliang pressed on, as though he wanted to get to the bottom of it. He did not back down at all. A battle had to be clarified. If Yun Feng went back on his word, wouldn't that be terrible? Alchemy, as the name suggests, is to refine elixirs. The side that refines the highest quality elixir within the stipulated time wins. Martial, of course, is to send out a martial artist below 25 years old to engage in a life and death battle. Aura suppression. Similarly, each side sends out a martial artist below 25 years old. Whoever withstands the highest aura suppression wins. Yun Feng spoke logically and explained repeatedly. If you win, then I will immediately leave with everyone and swear a heavenly Tao oath that I will never step foot into the 1,000-leaf empire again. If we win, the condition is very simple. That is to take away that golden arowana fish king on the tower. Swoosh! As he spoke, Yun Feng extended his right hand and suddenly pointed at Ningyu on the tower. Yun Feng's finger made Ningyu's expression turn extremely ugly. At this moment, even if Ningyu was a fool, he also understood Yun Feng's meaning. Furthermore, Yun Feng's words were very loud, causing all the martial artists in Giant Shield City to hear it clearly. I'm so angry! The most furious one was the golden arowana fish king himself. If you want to fight, then so be it. You actually used me as a wager. This was intolerable. Don't worry, I'll handle it. Ningyu waved his hand when he saw the goldfish king's enraged expression, indicating that there was no need to be angry. Compared to the people from the Alchemy Union, they were showing weakness. Both parties were not on the same level. On the Alchemy Union's side, there was Pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign Yun Feng and several Middle Phase Heavenly Sovereigns. There were even quasi-heavenly sovereigns like the Shido Venerable and Mengquan. On his side, he only had Xie and Guoliang, who were worthy of being called out. As for Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yin Shi, they could confront ordinary heavenly sovereigns with the help of the Ascension Pagoda and 100 Flowers fan. But even so, the gap between them was still huge. At this time, if they could delay time through a gambling fight, it would be the best thing for Giant Shield City. Grandmaster Xingyun, I'll give you an elixir recipe that clearly records the usage and dosage of each herb. You must refine 2 elixirs before my fight with Yun Feng, and the rest ends. Before leaving Giant Shield City, Ningyu sent a message into Grandmaster Xingyun's mind. After that, Ningyu tore space apart and left Giant Shield City. Let's go as well. Seeing that Ningyu had left, Bada, Chiemo, and even the Palatial Master followed closely behind Ningyu, advancing and retreating together with Ningyu. After leaving Giant Shield City, Ningyu and Dao Master GMO arrived in front of Xie and Guoliang in an instant. You're Ningyu. Yun Feng slightly frowned when he saw a group of people appear beside Guoliang. He stared at Ningyu and said, Pinnacle 9th grade Human Sovereign Cultivation and Pinnacle 8th grade Soul Force. What a surprise! Swoosh! As Yunfeng spoke, several figures suddenly appeared from the crowd in the distance. These figures flashed and appeared beside Yunfeng in the blink of an eye. Meng Quan, Shido Venerable, Nando Venerable, Beidou Venerable, and 3 mid-stage Sky Supremes. This lineup was against Ning Yu's lineup. It was obvious that Yunfeng's group had the absolute advantage. For the first alchemy battle, our side will send Meng Quan. The appearance of Meng Quan and the rest made Yunfeng reveal a confident expression. He flicked his sleeves, and 2 storage bags flew out. One flew to Meng Quan and the other to Guoliang. Pa! Guoliang caught the storage bag that Yunfeng threw over and shifted his gaze to Ningyu. Guoliang would definitely not participate in this alchemy battle. After all, his attainments in alchemy were extremely low. I'll fight for our side. Ningyu moved his feet and slowly walked out as he said indifferently, "Boom!" Ningyu's words caused the martial artists beside Yunfeng to be stunned for a moment before bursting into discussion. A brat who's still wet behind his ears wants to compete with Master Meng Quan in alchemy. Dream on. Hee, I want to see what ability this brat has. Ability my ass. If he can win, I'll eat the storage bag. Without a doubt. The martial artists on Yunfeng's side did not think well of Ningyu. After all, Meng Quan was a peak grade 9 alchemist. Even in the Alchemy Association, he could be ranked in the top. But Ningyu was only a peak grade 8 alchemist. The difference between the two was simply greater than the heavens. Can Ningyu really defeat Meng Quan? One must know that Meng Quan is a peak grade 9 alchemist. It's hard to say. Ningyu has always been very serious when he does things. In my opinion, why not let Master Xingyun come out? Master Xingyun's alchemy level can be ranked in the top few in the entire Pill Formation mainland. In contrast, the martial artists on Giant Shield City's side were much more conservative. Although they similarly did not think well of Ningyu, they spoke with propriety and did not question Ningyu too much. Ha ha ha! Seeing that Ningyu actually boasted shamelessly about competing in alchemy with him, Meng Quan could not resist throwing his head back and laughing wildly. He immediately said coldly, "Are you sure you want to compete in alchemy with me?" Being stared at by Meng Quan, Ningyu still appeared calm and unruffled. Without replying to Meng Quan's words, Ningyu took the storage bag from Guoliang's hands and released his perception, starting to probe the medicinal herbs inside. Divine Connection Pill. After discovering a few familiar medicinal herbs in the storage bag, Ningyu's anxious heart eased a little. There was only one reason why Ningyu dared to agree to compete in alchemy with Meng Quan. That was that he discovered the medicinal herbs in the storage bag in advance. In other words, Ningyu knew that what he was going to refine next was the Divine Connection Pill. Divine Connection Pill, a grade 9 medicinal pill. The refining difficulty was extremely high. Ordinary alchemists, even if it was a grade 9 alchemist, if they were not very proficient, it would be very difficult to refine the Divine Connection Pill. Using the Divine Connection Pill as the medicinal pill for the alchemy battle, Yunfeng also had his considerations. When Meng Quan was at the Alchemy Association, he once refined 10 cauldrons of Divine Connection Pills. Among them, he succeeded in 3 cauldrons and 7 failed. Chapter 1579. Chapter 1579. Chapter 1579. Make a wager. I'm talking to you. Can't you hear me? Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring him, Meng Quan's face instantly darkened. Taking a step out, Meng Quan displayed his aura and crazily pressed towards Ningyu. Humph! Sensing Meng Quan's terrifying aura and pressure, Bada and Dao Master GMO, who were beside Ningyu, snorted coldly and unleashed their auras as well. Chi-chi! The 3 auras collided with each other in this area, producing a loud, crackling sound. "You 2 pieces of trash. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Fighting 1 against 2, Meng Quan did not fall into a disadvantageous position in the slightest. Meng Quan even increased his aura, wanting to completely crush Bada and Tao Master Shenemo. Enough! Not waiting for Meng Quan's aura to increase to the peak, Yun Feng berated. I'll give you all 3 minutes to prepare. After 3 minutes, the first round of pill battles will begin. Whoosh! Yun Feng's words had played a big role. Meng Quan immediately retracted his aura. His entire person looked like an ancient well without any ripples, as if what had just happened had nothing to do with him. Since they only had 3 minutes to prepare, Yun Feng, Tao Master GMO, and the others did not disturb Meng Quan and Ningyu. Drip! 3 minutes passed in a flash. Yun Feng looked around and said in a clear voice, the rules for the first round are simple. Within 2 hours, use the herbs in your storage pouch to concoct a divine connecting pill. Whoever concocts a higher quality divine connecting pill will be the winner. Voila! When Yun Feng said this, the cultivators on giant shield cities side immediately went into an uproar. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the crowd was in high spirits. The divine connecting pill was a 9th grade medicinal pill, and it was extremely difficult to concoct. Not to mention that Ningyu was only a peak 8th grade alchemist. Even if Ningyu was a 9th grade alchemist or even a peak 9th grade alchemist, it would be difficult to refine divine pills. Yun Feng used the spirit connecting pill as the medicinal pill for the pill battle and sent Meng Quan to battle. It was obvious that he had a plan long ago. Maybe when Meng Quan was in the Alchemy Union, he would often refine spirit connecting pills. Meng Quan's next words confirmed the speculation of the people from Giant Shield City. The corners of Meng Quan's mouth curled up slightly as he sinisterly said to Ningyu, "To tell you the truth, I have a 30% success rate in refining the divine connecting pill. You're just a mere peak 8th realm alchemist. How are you going to fight me?" A success rate of 30% didn't seem very high, but it wasn't. With Meng Quan's current mental state, refining a low-grade divine connection pill was not considered too difficult. In fact, within 2 hours, Meng Quan was extremely likely to refine a middle-grade divinity conduit. Of course, Meng Quan would definitely not refine a medial-grade divine connection pill, because he wanted to be sure that he could defeat Ningyu. He didn't want to experience the incident of failing in a simple task a second time. You think I'll lose? Ningyu obviously didn't take Meng Quan's ridicule to heart. It was even to the extent that Ningyu shrugged and said to Meng Quan, "Since you think I'll lose without a doubt, then do you dare to make an additional bet with me?" "Humph! Why not?" Meng Quan snorted coldly. The current Meng Quan was exceptionally confident. If it was refining other medicinal pills, Meng Quan might not have such strong confidence. But refining a divine connecting pill, he was more confident than anyone else here. A long time ago, when he was at the Alchemy Union headquarters, Meng Quan had once competed with a peak 9th realm alchemist in refining a divine connecting pill. At that time, the strength of Meng Quan's soul force had yet to reach the level of liquefaction. But that peak 9th realm alchemist's soul force had reached the level of liquefaction. The result was obvious. Meng Quan only used 1.5 hours to refine a divine connecting pill and successfully defeated that peak 9th realm alchemist. That competition also allowed Meng Quan to successfully enter the upper echelons of the Alchemy Union and obtain a lot of resources. What do you want to bet? Do you want to bet your life with me? Meng Quan revealed a strong and domineering aura. The aura around him subtly suppressed Ningyu. I wouldn't go so far as to bet my life. If I refine a divine connecting pill before you, then I want something from you. Ningyu wasn't afraid of Meng Quan's aura at all. He shrugged and said, "Of course, if you refine a divine connecting pill before me, then you can also want something from me." Ha ha ha. Hearing this bet proposed by Ningyu, Meng Quan laughed excitedly. Meng Quan was very excited, extremely excited. Ning Yu had the Tower of Yuzuan, and he was 100% sure that he would win. Didn't that mean that Ning Yu would hand over the Tower of Yuzuan to him? The more Meng Quan thought about it, the more excited he got. In the end, Meng Quan even urged, "I agree to this bet. Let's hurry up and start refining the divine connecting pill. I'm getting a little thirsty." Swoosh! As he spoke, Meng Quan flicked his sleeves, and a pill furnace appeared above his head. Heaven-breaking pill furnace. It's actually the heaven-breaking pill furnace. Rumor has it that Meng Quan has an extremely precious pill furnace. I didn't expect it to be the heaven-breaking pill furnace. The heaven-breaking pill furnace is ranked 35th on the pill furnace heaven list. Using the heaven-breaking pill furnace to refine pills can achieve twice the result with half the effort. Chi. After taking out the pill furnace, Meng Quan waved his right hand repeatedly. Suddenly, a dark blue flame appeared on his fingertip. Netherworld Ghost Flame. If Meng Quan's heaven-breaking pill furnace had shocked the people of the Alchemy Union, then Meng Quan's Netherworld Ghost Flame made everyone's jaws drop. The heaven-breaking pill furnace was only ranked 35th on the pill furnace heaven list, but the Netherworld Ghost Flame was ranked 32nd on the unique flame list. In the past, when Meng Quan refined pills in public, he had never used the Netherworld Ghost Flame or the heaven-breaking pill furnace. They didn't expect that he would use the heaven-breaking pill furnace and the Netherworld Ghost Flame to compete with Ning Yu. As soon as the flame pill furnace appeared, everyone present, including giant shield cities, perfected Master GMO, and the rest, did not think that Ning Yu could win. The Netherworld Ghost Flame, the heaven-breaking pill furnace, and Meng Quan, who had a deep understanding of the divine pill. With this combination, it was not particularly difficult to refine the divine pill within 2 hours. Swoosh! In an instant, everyone turned to look at Ning Yu. They wanted to see the quality of the pill furnace and the level of the flame that Ning Yu would take out. Why, he doesn't even dare to take out the pill furnace and the flame? A good-for-nothing is a good-for-nothing. I guess he'll surrender when he sees Master Meng Quan's pill furnace and flame. It's impossible for him to surrender. On the Alchemy Union side, Shido the Venerable, who had been silent all this while, shook his head and said, "I think he'll be so scared that he'll wet his pants." Ha ha ha. The first half of Shido the Venerable's sentence was fine, but the second half made the people from Giant Shield City gnash their teeth in anger. Chapter 1580. To begin concocting pills, humph. You're playing tricks on us. Seeing Ning Yu's actions, Meng Quan snorted coldly and said arrogantly, "I want to see what grade of pill furnace and flame you can take out today." Whoosh! Hearing Meng Quan's words, Ning Yu stopped categorizing the medicinal ingredients. He turned around and said to Meng Quan, "What rank pill furnace and flame I take out doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, right? You." After being rebuked by Ning Yu in front of so many people, Meng Quan felt humiliated. With a thought, Meng Quan calmly said, "Of course it's related. If you don't have a pill furnace or flame, I can lend you one." As he spoke, Meng Quan flicked his wrist. Immediately, a pill furnace and a ball of black flame appeared in front of him. Pointing at the cauldron and flames, Meng Quan said, "The demonic flame cauldron is ranked 100th on the heaven ranking of cauldrons. The crimson symbol flame is ranked 99th on the bizarre flame ranking." Voila! The moment Meng Quan's voice fell, the Alchemy Union's martial artists started to make a ruckus. Ha ha ha! One of the pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns of the Alchemy Union laughed. "Brat, Master Meng Quan is so kind to provide you with a cauldron and flame. Why aren't you kowtowing a few times to express your gratitude?" Kowtowing won't do. In my opinion, it's better to have that kid kneel down and bark like a dog. Yes. Just bark like a dog. I haven't heard a dog bark for many days. I miss it. How can you just bark like a dog? You have to learn how to bark like a pig, a cat, a cow, and so on. Aside from the pinnacle ninth grade Earth Sovereign, the other cultivators of the Alchemy Union also laughed. On Ningyu's face, there was not the slightest hint of anger. Furthermore, Ningyu's eyes widened as he asked Mengquan hesitantly, "Are you sure he's a ninth grade peak alchemist?" "Why? Are you suspicious?" Although he didn't know what Ningyu was up to, Mengquan was still fearless. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. This was Mengquan's code of conduct. Furthermore, in Mengquan's view, Ningyu was only a pinnacle ninth grade sovereign realm human sovereign, and wouldn't be able to cause too much trouble. Mocking Ningyu before refining the soul conduit pill was also a relaxing thing to do. "I'm not suspicious. I just find it very strange." Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said in a clear voice, "Why would a peak ninth grade alchemist carry the evil fire pill furnace and the scarlet symbol flame with him? This kind of trash." "Brat, aren't you being a little too arrogant?" Before Mengquan could speak, the ninth grade Earth Sovereign that ridiculed Ningyu earlier coldly said, "The demonic flame cauldron and the scarlet rune flames are extremely heaven-defying cauldrons and flames. If it wasn't for Master Mengquan taking pity on you, you wouldn't be able to see them in your lifetime." It's fine if you're not grateful, but you actually dare to ridicule Master Mengquan. I see that you, stop, trash like the evil fire pill furnace and the scarlet symbol flame. You still have the nerve to say that they are heaven-defying? Ningyu waved his hand, interrupting the ninth grade Earth Sovereign's words, and said in astonishment, "Who doesn't know how to boast?" Mengquan coldly said, "I'm not boasting. The demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame that you took out are indeed ordinary. I can casually take out a cauldron and flame to destroy them." Ningyu said with a grave expression, "Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue with your boasting? I'll see if you can take out a cauldron and flame that can destroy the demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame." Mengquan was furious. Initially, he took out the demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame to ridicule Ningyu. But now, Ningyu was actually ridiculing him. "You're the one who said it." Ningyu rolled his eyes and waved his sleeve. In an instant, the nihility pill furnace and the myriad bestial flames flew out. Rustle, rustle. When the myriad bestial flames and nihility pill furnace came out, they did not stop and charged towards the demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame at an astonishing speed. Crack! Chi-chi! Two crisp sounds rang out consecutively. In an instant, the entire area became quiet. Everyone's gaze shifted towards the demonic flame, cauldron, and scarlet symbol flame. One of the two crisp sounds came from the demonic flame cauldron, and the other from the scarlet symbol flame. After the crisp sound, the demonic flame cauldron broke into two halves. The demonic flame cauldron broke, but the scarlet symbol flame did not fare any better. Engulf! The scarlet symbol flame was completely engulfed by the other light green flame. How is this possible? The sudden change caused Mengquan's eyes to widen. His face was filled with confusion. Although the demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame were ranked around 100th on the Heaven Cauldron list and Exotic Flame list, to destroy and engulf them was not an easy task. Mengquan had experimented before. He used the Netherworld Ghost Flame to engulf the Scarlet Symbol Flame and the Heaven-Breaking Cauldron to hit the Demonic Flame Cauldron. The result was obvious. The Scarlet Symbol Flame and Demonic Flame Cauldron were unharmed. From then on, Mengquan obtained an important piece of information. A cauldron that could destroy the Demonic Flame Cauldron on the Heaven Cauldron list was at least in the top 10. A flame that could engulf the Scarlet Symbol Flame on the Exotic Flame list was at least in the top 10. and from the cauldron and flame that floated above Ning Yu's head, Meng Quan did not discover anything else. The cauldron above Ning Yu's head was at most on the same level as his heaven-breaking cauldron. At most, it was just a few words higher. As for the flame, it was on par with the netherworld ghost flame. How did he do it? Meng Quan was puzzled, dumbfounded, and shocked to the point that he could not speak. But after the shock, Meng Quan's face turned into anger. Although the demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame could not be compared to the heaven-breaking cauldron and the netherworld ghost flame, they were still extremely heaven-defying cauldron and flame. Just like that, they were destroyed and engulfed by Ning Yu. How could he not be angry? Ning Yu, you destroyed my demonic flame cauldron and scarlet symbol flame. Meng Quan, who was enraged, said coldly to Ning Yu, you have to compensate me. You were the one who wanted to see if my cauldron and flame could completely destroy your cauldron and flame. Now that I have fulfilled your wish, not only are you not grateful to me, you even want me to accompany your cauldron and flame? What kind of nonsense is this? Ning, you did not give in at all and said tit for tat. In any case, the reason why Ning Yu agreed to 3 battles was to buy time for Grandmaster Xingyin to concoct the pill. Since he was able to quarrel with Meng Quan, Ning Yu naturally would not let it go. Enough! Yun Feng seemed to not want to wait aimlessly any longer and said coldly, what a racket! What a scandal! After the 2 of you caused a ruckus, there is only 1 hour and 50 minutes left of the 2 hours. You guys decide. Let's concoct the divine connecting pill first. Meng Quan seemed to be looking at the big picture. He glared fiercely at Ning Yu, then casually grabbed a medicinal ingredient and threw it into the heaven-breaking cauldron. Chapter 1581. Attack! Hiss! As the nether ghost flame continued to burn, the temperature at the bottom and inside of the cauldron grew higher and higher. 5 minutes later, the first medicinal ingredient was completely refined. Swish! Meng Quan reacted quickly and hurriedly took out a jade bottle and poured the first portion of medicinal liquid into the jade bottle. Not bad. Seeing that the first medicinal ingredient was refined in 5 minutes, Meng Quan nodded and said, at this speed, refining the divine connection pill in 1.5 hours is not a challenge. Compared to Meng Quan's careful refinement, Ning Yu's performance was very casual. Ning Yu casually threw a few medicinal ingredients into the cauldron, then used his perception to scan the surroundings. Suddenly, Ning Yu's gaze paused for a moment on a node in the void in the distance, and then he looked elsewhere. Within the void node, a young warrior frowned slightly and said, Master, did you come here for that kid? It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? Ha! Don't underestimate the people of the world. Next to the young warrior, a white-bearded old man smiled and said, although Ning Yu is only a peak 9th grade human supreme, his fundamentals are very solid, and his perception far surpasses his peers. If I'm not wrong, he has already discovered us. He discovered us? The young warrior was stunned at first. Then he exclaimed, Impossible! Absolutely impossible! Master! Even a pinnacle heavenly sovereign wouldn't be able to sense your aura, not to mention a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign. The young warrior was very surprised. No one knew better than him how terrifying his master was. In the Sky Demon region, even in the Immortal Spirit region, all warriors who had heard of his master's name were top-notch existences. Elder Tianji. That's right, the white-bearded old man was Elder Tianji. And he was Elder Tianji's in-name disciple, Zhou Xin. Elder Tianji was known to be able to predict everything in the world. Zhou Xin clearly remembered that Elder Tianji had once said that as long as he wanted to hide his aura, even a peak sky supreme would not be able to detect him. Could it be that Elder Tianji had deliberately let Ningyu discover him? I've said it before, don't underestimate the people of the world. The Elder of Heavenly Secrets did not dwell too much on this matter with Zhou Shen, instead saying, in your current state, it will be very difficult for you to defeat Ningyu. Impossible. This time, Zhou Shen almost jumped up. He was a 3rd grade Earth Supreme, while Ningyu was only a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Supreme. Defeating a 3rd grade Earth Sovereign with a cultivation of pinnacle 9th grade Sovereign wasn't something that didn't exist in the Sky Demon territory. However, he wasn't the same. He was a 3rd grade Earth Sovereign, but his fighting prowess was comparable to a pinnacle 4th grade Earth Sovereign or even a 5th grade Earth Sovereign. The difficulty for Ningyu to defeat him was no different from defeating a 4th grade Earth Sovereign. Ningyu was more talented than him? The answer was obviously impossible. Let's not talk about that for now. However, in terms of alchemy attainments, Ningyu might surpass you by a lot. The Elder of Heavenly Secrets still had a calm look on his face as he changed the topic. Master, you mean that Ningyu can refine the divine connecting pill before Mengquan? Zhou Shen's mouth was slightly agape, his face full of disbelief. Mengquan was a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist, and his soul power had reached the level of liquefying. It could be said that defeating Mengquan was more difficult than ascending to the heavens. If it was said that Ningyu was very strong, Zhou Shen might still choose to believe it. However, if it was said that Ningyu could refine the divine connecting pill before Mengquan, Zhou Shen would never believe it. After all, the difficulty of refining the divine connecting pill was extremely high. Mengquan could only refine the divine connecting pill by relying on the strength of his liquefying soul power and his proficiency in receiving punishment. What did Ningyu rely on? The strength of his soul power? His proficiency? No matter in which aspect, Ningyu was completely defeated by Mengquan. It was impossible to win, absolutely impossible. This was Zhou Shen's first impression of Ningyu. Let's wait and see. I'm very interested in that Mingyu right now. Old man Tianji shrugged his shoulders, then completely concealed his aura in the void. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half an hour passed. In the spacious area outside Giant Shield City, Ningyu and Meng Quan both entered the second segment of refining the divine connecting pill. In half an hour's time, Meng Quan and Ningyu both refined all of the medicinal herbs once. Now, it was the second segment, compression. The medicinal liquid underwent continuous compression, finally forming the embryonic form of a medicinal pill. Ningyu, I didn't expect that your speed isn't slow, but in the next segment, you won't be so lucky. Mengquan's right hand slapped the heaven-breaking pill furnace abruptly. Traces of essence, energy, flowed into the pill furnace along his palm. As for Mengquan's left hand, it bent slightly and flicked a finger. Immediately, a fine cold light tore through the void, charging towards Ningyu at an extremely shocking speed. Chi-chi. This cold light that Meng Quan attacked out was extremely fast. It produced friction with the void, giving off sizzling sounds. Trying to scheme against me? How could Ningyu not know Meng Quan's scheme? He stomped his feet on the ground and suddenly leaped up. Not good. Seeing Ningyu jump up, Meng Quan's face instantly turned ugly. Ningyu stood opposite him. Behind Ningyu were the people from the Alchemy Union, and behind Meng Quan were the people from Giant Shield City. Now that Ningyu had jumped up, the cold light that he attacked out naturally flew towards the people from the Alchemy Union. Ah! The cold light that Meng Quan attacked out was extremely fast. Just as Ningyu jumped up, the cold light had already hit a 5th grade Earth Supreme. The 5th grade Earth Supreme struggled for a while, then his eyes rolled back and he died on the spot. Boom! The death of a fifth-grade Earth Supreme caused a huge uproar in the surroundings. What's going on? Someone's trying to disrupt the alchemy competition between Master Meng Quan and that kid. Nonsense. I also know that someone's trying to mess things up. I just want to know who's the culprit. Needless to say, it's definitely Ningyu. Our alchemy union only has a fifth-grade Earth Supreme, and the cold light came from Ningyu's direction. If it's not Ningyu, who else could it be? The cultivators from the alchemy union discussed among themselves. In just a few breaths' time, they had confirmed that it was Ningyu who did it. Good move, truly a good move. Meng Quan coldly said, Ningyu knows that he's not my opponent in alchemy, so he resorted to schemes. This kind of person should be executed on the spot. He should be executed on the spot. Master Meng Quan, you're wrong. Shido, Venerable, seemed to have a different opinion from Meng Quan. He waved his hand and said, Oh, Brother Shido, what do you think? Chapter 1582. Chapter 1582. Chapter 1582, Heavenly Mystery. I don't dare to say that I have a brilliant idea. I'm just expressing my opinion. Shido Venerable shrugged and continued. Ningyu is trying all sorts of ways to ruin your alchemy competition. In my opinion, we can't let him have his way. You should refine the divine connection pellets first, and settle the score with Ningyu after you refine them. Good idea. On the Alchemy Union's side, the pinnacle ninth-grade Earth Sovereign, who mocked Ningyu earlier, nodded his head. Let's do that. We'll refine the pellets first, and settle the matter with Ningyu once we refine the divine connection pellets. Idiot. Ningyu rolled his eyes at Shido the Venerable One and the others, who were the villains, were the first to complain. Who are you calling an idiot? Although Ningyu spoke softly, his words were still heard by Shido Venerable and Meng Quan. Shido Venerable was the first to fly into a rage. Shido Venerable was like a fighting chicken as he roared at Ningyu. If you dare to say another word, I'll peel your skin off. Idiot. Ningyu's tone was calm as he spat out the word idiot once again. Arg, you're pissing me off. I'm going to peel your skin off, pull out your tendons, and grind your bones into ashes. Shido Venerable let out a hysterical shriek. Although he said that he was going to attack Ningyu, he did not take any action. Since Yun Feng did not say anything, Shido Venerable dared not act recklessly. Guoliang, is this how the giant shield city does things? Pointing at the dead fifth-grade Earth Sovereign, Yun Feng continued. This fifth-grade Earth Sovereign was the son of an upper echelon of the Alchemy Union. Ningyu killed him, so it'll be hard for me to explain myself when I return. Are you kidding me? Guoliang revealed an exaggerated expression. As long as you're not an idiot, you can tell that it was Meng Quan who did it. You're not an idiot, are you? You. Yun Feng clenched his fists tightly, and the veins on his body bulged. But very quickly, Yun Feng took a deep breath and said, Let's not talk about this for now. Let's see who among Ningyu and Meng Quan will be able to refine the divine connecting Dan first. We'll definitely win the first round. Haha, Ningyu is definitely not someone to be trifled with. Are you certain that you can win? Xieze, who was beside him, smiled and asked, What's there to be certain about? Meng Quan will definitely win. The corners of Yun Feng's mouth curled up into an arc as he gloomily said, Let me tell you a secret. Meng Quan still has a trump card that he hasn't used. Once he uses it, he can quickly complete the refinement of the second segment. Buzz. As soon as Yun Feng's sinister words fell, from afar, Meng Quan took out a small jade bottle from his bosom. The jade bottle was filled with a reddish-brown liquid. Kacha! Meng Quan opened the jade bottle and poured the reddish-brown liquid inside the bottle into the heaven-breaking cauldron. Compressed fluid? Ningyu frowned slightly when he saw Meng Quan take out the reddish-brown liquid, and his expression became serious. Compressed fluid could shorten the time of the second segment. Originally, Meng Quan would need half an hour to complete the second segment. But now, with compressed fluid, he could shorten the time to 5 minutes, or even less. Ha ha ha! To take revenge for the 5th grade Earth Sovereign, I have no choice but to take out my trump card. Meng Quan laughed as he waved his hands and continuously slapped the cauldron. Bang! 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 Crisp sounds rang out, and every single sound seemed to have struck the hearts of everyone from the giant shield city, causing their faces to turn ugly. There were 3 rounds, and if they lost the first round, it would greatly affect the next 2 rounds. Ningyu, I'll be able to refine the divine connection pellet in half an hour. You have to speed up. The corner of Meng Quan's mouth rose into an arc as he began the 3rd segment, refining the divine connection pellet in half an hour. Ningyu fell into deep thought. According to his usual refining speed, he would need at least 40 minutes to refine the divine connection pellet. Since he couldn't win in terms of time, he could only win in terms of quality. Although Meng Quan could refine the divine connection pellet in half an hour, the quality could only be lower grade. As long as Ningyu could refine the medium grade divine connection pellet in the stipulated time, he would be able to win. That's it. I'll refine the medium grade divine connection pellet. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu began to fully immerse himself in refining the divine connection pellet. At this moment, Ningyu had sealed himself, and nothing around him could affect him. Drip! Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Rise! Meng Quan lived up to everyone's expectations in half an hour. Following Meng Quan's low voice, a silver-white pellet shot out from the heaven-breaking cauldron. Ha ha ha! Catching the divine connection pellet, Meng Quan raised his head and laughed wildly, saying, I refined the divine connection pellet before Ningyu, so the first round of alchemy battle counts as my victory. According to my previous agreement with Ningyu, if I win, I can ask him for one thing. What I want is very simple. It's his cauldron and flame. Just as Meng Quan's voice fell, everyone from Giant Shield City shouted angrily, Shameless! Your agreement was that you can only ask for one thing from the other party, but you want the cauldron and flame. Cauldron or flame, you can only ask for one. Yes, I can only ask for one. The martial artists on Giant Shield City's side almost all thought that Ningyu had lost. It was better to give one less than the cauldron and flame being snatched away by Meng Quan. Master, I think that Ningyu is a wax figure with a silver spear. He looks good, but he's useless. In the spatial node far away, Zhou Shin curled his lips and said disdainfully that Meng Quan has already refined the divine connection pellet, but he's still stuck in the 2nd round. I've said it before, don't underestimate anyone in the world. Elder Tianji's face instantly darkened as he said coldly, The stipulated time is 2 hours. The time isn't up yet, so the victor and the loser are still unknown. There's not much time left. It would be strange if Ningyu can refine the divine connection pellet. Zhou Xin didn't dare to argue with Elder Tianji directly, so he could only mumble, taking 10,000 steps back. Even if Ningyu can refine the divine connection pellet, there's no way he can defeat Meng Quan, so he's bound to lose. Bound to lose? Elder Tianji raised his brows and said, Zhou Xin, do you know why I didn't officially accept you as my disciple? Disciple doesn't know, Zhou Xin hurriedly said. It's because you have high standards, but low ability, looking down on anyone of the same age. Elder Tianji's tone became solemn as he said in a deep voice, I hope that through this matter with Ningyu, I can teach you a lesson and let you know that there's always someone better out there. Zhou Xin didn't say anything and listened quietly. Do you think that Ningyu will lose for sure? Elder Tianji asked. Yes, Ningyu will lose for sure. There's no way he can win, Zhou Shen said with certainty. All right then. As long as Ningyu loses, I will officially accept you as my disciple and teach you the art of divination, Elder Tianji said. Are you serious? Hearing this, Zhou Shen's eyes flashed with excitement as he asked hurriedly. The art of divination was a secret technique unique to Elder Tianji. The reason why Zhou Shen followed Elder Tianji was to learn the art of divination. Chapter 1583. Chapter 1583. Chapter 1583 Quarrel of Course. The Elder of Heavenly Secrets nodded before shifting his gaze into the distance. At the venue of the pill battle, the people of the Alchemy Union had already started arguing with the people of Giant Shield City. The crux of their argument was whether or not Ningyu needed to give Meng Quan a pill furnace and flame. The people of Giant Shield City believed that Ningyu had only promised Meng Quan one thing, and Meng Quan could only ask for either the pill furnace or the flame. However, the people from the Alchemy Union did not think so. They thought that the pill furnace and the flame were one, so they naturally had to give both to Meng Quan. It was bustling with noise and fighting. Ningyu. While the two sides are quarreling, Meng Quan moved to stand in front of Ningyu and said, "If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to lose. Hand over the pill furnace and flames." Originally, Ningyu did not plan to pay attention to Meng Quan. After all, he wanted to refine middle-grade divine connection pills, and he could not afford to be careless. But when he heard Meng Quan's words, no matter how busy he was, he had to respond to Meng Quan. Temporarily stopping his alchemy, Ningyu looked at Meng Quan and asked doubtfully, "You said that the alchemy furnace and the flame are one. If I lose, I have to give you both?" "Of course." Meng Quan said proudly, "The pill furnace and flame must all be given to me." "Allow me to be presumptuous and ask, if you lose, will you also hand over the pill furnace and flame to me?" Ningyu was delighted in his heart, but his expression did not change. "Although I won't lose, I still have to tell you clearly that if I lose, I will definitely hand over the netherworld ghost flame and the heaven-splitting pill furnace to you." Meng Quan curled his lips and said, "Hee, that's what you said. I didn't force you to say it." Ningyu grinned and no longer paid attention to Meng Quan. He began to concentrate on brewing the spiritual Dan. Seeing Ningyu's actions, Meng Quan's mouth was slightly agape, and he was slightly dumbfounded. Not only was Meng Quan stupefied, even the people from the Alchemy Union and Giant Shield City were stupefied. What was going on? Could it be that Ningyu had not given up yet? Got it. Suddenly, a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign exclaimed, "Master Meng Quan is refining a low-rank divine connection pellet. If that brat wants to win, he can only refine a middle-rank divine connection pellet within the time limit. If I didn't guess wrongly, he wants to refine middle-grade divine connection pills." Whoosh! The words of a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign had caused the entire region to turn silent. Regardless of whether it was the martial artists of the Alchemy Union or the Giant Shield City, all of them shifted their gazes toward Ningyu and the incorporeal elixir furnace in midair. Mid-grade divine connection pill. Ningyu really dared to dream. One had to know that Meng Quan's soul force had reached the level of liquefying qi. Even he didn't dare to say that he could refine a mid-grade divine conduit with 100% certainty. Where did Ningyu get his courage from? Ha ha ha. The brief silence was soon broken by Shido the Venerable One's wild laughter. Shido the Venerable's laughter was wild and unbridled. After laughing, Shido the Venerable looked at Ningyu with ridicule in his tone. "Have you lost your mind? A pinnacle 8th grade alchemist wants to refine a mid-grade divine connection pill? What wishful thinking." Ning Yu did not respond to Shido the Venerable's ridicule, nor did anyone from the giant shield city. The reason why Ning Yu did not respond was because he had reached a crucial moment in refining the divine connection pill, so he couldn't afford to be distracted. The reason why the giant shield city did not respond was because they felt that Shido the Venerable was right. Xie and Guoliang shifted their gazes elsewhere. In their subconscious, they had already thought that Ningyu had lost and that Ningyu was wasting his time. How dare a loser speak to the palace master in this manner? Xie and Guoliang did not speak up for Ningyu, but it did not mean that the others would not speak up for Ningyu. Among them, Bada scoffed at Shido the Venerable One. You ran away like a stray dog the last time, but you don't know what's good for you this time. How dare you come back? A stray dog? Shido the Venerable One's face darkened right away, and he uttered coldly, How dare a mere bloodthirsty mad wolf speak to me like that? Believe it or not, the bloodthirsty mad wolf clan will disappear from the Dancheng mainland if I give the order. I'd like to see how capable you are. Ba Da's eyes turned bloodshot, and he was about to attack. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, South Dipper the Venerable One and North Dipper the Venerable One appeared in front of him. It seemed like they were going to advance and retreat together with Shido the Venerable One. Whoosh! Whoosh! On Bada's side, the Golden Arowana Fish King and Saint Master G.M.O. quickly flew out and stood beside Bada. 3 against 3. No matter how one looked at it, Shido the Venerable One and the others had the upper hand. After all, Shido Venerable and the rest were quasi-heavenly sovereigns, while Bada and the rest were pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns. There was a gap of 1 level between the two, so there was definitely a difference in strength. All of you step back. Since Ning Yu doesn't want to admit defeat, I'll give him a chance. Let's see if he can refine a middle grade, divine connecting Dan. Meng Quan took a step forward and stomped heavily on the ground with his right foot. He said coldly, We are all cultured people. We can't be treated as boorish men by others. Yes. Upon hearing Meng Quan, Shido the Venerable One, Nando the Venerable One, and the others nodded and chose to retreat. Originally, they had sided with the Devil Spirit Realm expert, but ever since the Devil Spirit Realm expert returned to the 100-Flower Palace, he never returned. Moreover, they were forced to retreat by Xie, so they could only choose to rely on the Alchemy Union. Unfortunately, they were assigned to Meng Quan by the higher-ups of the Alchemy Union. In other words, they had to listen to Meng Quan's instructions. Whatever Meng Quan told them to do, they had to do it. Otherwise, the 3 of them would be killed by the higher-ups of the Alchemy Union. They had to lower their heads when they were under someone else's roof. That was the best way to describe Shido the Venerable One and the other 2. Ningyu, I'll give you a chance to die in peace. Seeing as Shido the Venerable One and the other 2 retreated, Meng Quan crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at Ningyu. There's only 20 minutes left until the 2-hour deadline. I'd like to see if you can refine middle-grade divine pills. Meng Quan, you just have to remember what you said. Ning Yu took a few seconds out of his busy schedule to tell Meng Quan, If I refine middle-grade divine pills within the stipulated time, I want your netherworld ghost fire and heaven-breaking cauldron. Ha ha ha! Meng Quan threw his head back and laughed hysterically as if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. A fierce look could be seen in his eyes as he uttered, I'll be waiting! Ning Yu did not respond to Meng Quan. He kept waving his hands and slapping the cauldron. At the same time, his soul power gushed out and entered the cauldron. Time always passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 19 minutes had passed. Ningyu, there's only 1 minute left. I think you. Seeing as there was only 1 minute left, Meng Quan naturally wanted to mock him again. Bam! Bam! Chapter 1584. Check. Crack! It was accompanied by an extremely crisp sound. The lid of the elixir cauldron shot out. Swoosh! A round elixir pill, emitting a faint white mist, shot out from the elixir cauldron. Smack! Ning Yu reacted quickly. He leaped up at the first instance and grabbed the silvery white elixir pill in his hand. Swoosh! At this moment, the surrounding martial artists all shifted their gazes to Ning Yu's right hand. Under everyone's gaze, Ning Yu slowly opened his palm. In his palm, a silvery white elixir pill, emitting a faint white mist, lay flat on it. Silence! Silence! Deathly silence! The entire area became quiet. Everyone held their breaths and stared in shock at the silvery white elixir pill in Ning Yu's hand. The expressions on their faces were exceptionally interesting. Ha ha ha! On the giant Shield City side, the golden arowana fish king roared with laughter. He stomped his right foot heavily on the ground, creating a huge crater. Well done, Hall Master. You didn't let us down. The golden arowana fish king's unbridled words rang in the ears of Meng Quan and the rest. You, hurry up and hand over the elixir cauldron and the flame. Hall Master refined a middle-grade divine connection pill within the allotted time. Someone can't go back on his word. Being mocked by the golden arowana fish king, Meng Quan did not respond directly. Instead, his eyes were fixed on the divine connection pill in Ning Yu's hand. His eyeballs rolled as he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Through observation, Meng Quan realized that Ning Yu had indeed refined a divine connection pill. Moreover, the quality had reached the middle grade level. However, Meng Quan did not intend to admit it. He had the strongest soul force here. As long as he did not admit that Ning Yu had refined a middle grade divine connection pill, he would not lose. Hence, there was no need to hand over the heaven-breaking elixir cauldron and the netherworld ghost flame to Ning Yu. After all, Meng Quan had painstakingly obtained the netherworld ghost flame and the heaven-splitting pill furnace. He did not want to easily hand them over. Ning Yu, I can't help but admit that your skill in alchemy is extremely high. It has even reached 50% of my level. Meng Quan moved his feet and walked towards Ning Yu. As they walked, Meng Quan said, You have 50% of my alchemy skills, but you can refine a transcendent Dan. I admire you very much. After a while, Meng Quan came in front of Ning Yu, pointed at the divine connection pill in Ning Yu's palm, and said in a clear voice, I apologize for my arrogant words just now. Ning Yu is very strong. He refined a Tongshin Dan within the stipulated time. Meng Quan's words caused everyone to scratch their heads in bewilderment. Why did Meng Quan apologize to Ning Yu? Could it be that Meng Quanliang had realized his mistake? What a good plan. Others might not know what Meng Quan meant, but Ning Yu was very clear about it. It was impossible for someone like Meng Quan to make a mistake. As expected, Meng Quan's foxtail was revealed very quickly. But after sorting out his thoughts, Meng Quan changed the topic and said, I might have to apologize to Ning Yu. Although the quality of the Tongshin Dan he refined is slightly higher than mine, it is still far from reaching the level of a middle-grade Tongshin Dan. Which is to say, what Ning Yu refined is still a low-grade Tongshin Dan. Whoosh! Only when Meng Quan completely revealed his foxtail did the golden arowana fish king and the rest react. What the hell? Wasn't this too shameless? They had seen shameless people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. Meng Quan really treated everyone as idiots. Anyone who knew a little about alchemy could see that the Tongshin Dan Ning Yu refined was a grade higher than Meng Quan's. I know that many people don't believe me. Meng Quan had always done things flawlessly, and he was fully prepared. He put on a pained expression and slightly raised his voice. I'm a 9th grade peak alchemist. Whether it's alchemy grade or the strength of my soul, I completely crush Ning Yu. If you don't believe me, you can ask Ning Yu to hand the Tongshin Dan to me. I'll tell you what grade the Tongshin Dan refined is. Ning Yu, Hand the Tong Shindan to Master Meng Quan. Master Meng Quan will give you justice. Shido the Venerable expressed his support for Meng Quan. That's right. Quickly hand the Tong Shindan to Master Meng Quan. If you don't hand it over, you have a guilty conscience. Other than Shido the Venerable, Nando the Venerable, and Beido the Venerable echoed. Kid, Master Meng Quan has given you a chance. Why aren't you handing over the Tong Shindan? Hurry up, don't waste everyone's time. There's going to be a second battle later. We don't have time to waste with you. The people from the Alchemy Guild supported Meng Quan one-sidedly. Since the people from the Alchemy Guild had spoken up, the people from Giant Shield City naturally had to support Ningyu too. Let me say it. However, before the people from Giant Shield City could say anything, Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that there was no need for them to argue. Yu shifted his gaze to the Tong Shindan in Meng Quan's hand. You check my Tong Shindan, and I'll check yours. There shouldn't be a problem with this, right? Hearing Ningyu's words, coupled with Ningyu's calm expression, Meng Quan had a bad feeling for some reason. Even though Meng Quan felt that something was off, he still chose to agree to Ningyu's request. No problem. I'll count to 3, and we'll hand the Tong Shindan to each other. Meng Quan quietly separated some of his soul power to seal the Tong Shindan that he refined. Meng Quan knew very well that if he wanted to mess with Ningyu would definitely mess with him. Such a simple logic. Meng Quan wasn't a fool. Hence, Meng Quan used his soul power to seal the Tong Shindan that he refined in advance, to prevent Ningyu from playing any tricks later. Hee, you're still too inexperienced to fight with me. Meng Quan let out a sinister laugh in his heart, but on the surface he was counting. 1, 2, 3. When Meng Quan counted to 3, he flicked his wrist and threw the Tong Shindan in his hand to Ningyu. Swoosh, swoosh. As for Ningyu, he didn't have any dispute with Meng Quan in this aspect. Seeing Meng Quan throw the Tong Shindan, Ningyu also threw the Tong Shindan in his hand to Meng Quan. Pa! Pa! Ningyu and Meng Quan caught the Tong Shindan thrown by both parties at almost the same time. The corners of their mouths curled into a faint smile at the same time. I'll cut to the chase. If you want to determine whether the Tong Shindan is middle grade or low grade, you only need to do a simple test to find out. Meng Quan waved the Tong Shindan in his hand and said in a clear voice, you only need to find a big basin, pour some water in it, and then put in a stalk of God pattern grass. If it's a low-grade Tong Shindan, then the God pattern grass will absorb half of the water. If it's a middle-grade Tong Shindan, then the God pattern grass will absorb the whole basin of water in a few seconds. Chapter 1585. Chapter 1585. Chapter 1585 Low. Grade Divine Elixir, yes. Shido the Venerable One nodded. Then he flashed into the distance. Shido the Venerable One had divine vein herbs. However, he did not have a wooden basin or clean water, so he could only look for them in the distance. In actuality, one could find wooden basins and clean water in Giant Shield City, but Shido the Venerable One dared not go there. As a member of the Alchemy Union, he was on the opposite side of Giant Shield City. Entering Giant Shield City at this time was no different from courting death. What the hell is Ningyu doing? Meng Quan's suggestion to check the divinity pills is obviously a trick. I wonder what Ningyu is thinking. Seeing that Ningyu had agreed to Meng Quan's unreasonable request to inspect the divine conduit pills, the people from Giant Shield City all revealed solemn expressions. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Meng Quan was playing a trick. The faces of the people from Giant Shield City were solemn, while the faces of the people from the Alchemy Union were filled with excitement. In fact, they were even mocking him. After a while, we'll be able to expose that big liar Ningyu. There's no need to think about it. Ningyu is definitely refining a low-grade divine connection pill. I really want to see what kind of expression Ningyu will have when Master Meng Quan inspects the quality of the pills. The water is here. The Alchemy Union's ridicule did not last for long when Shido the Venerable One carried 2 big wooden basins and hurried over. Dong! Dong! After placing the wooden basin between Ningyu and Meng Quan, Shido the Venerable One uttered coldly, "Ningyu, I hope you won't cry later." "Are you sure it's Shido the Venerable One?" Ningyu frowned as he looked at the 2 wooden basins in front of him. "Humph, the real deal." Shido the Venerable One scoffed. "How dare you doubt me? Do you want to learn from me so that you can believe me?" No, you misunderstood me." Ningyu immediately waved his hand. "I'm just a little doubtful. The Shido Venerable, a quasi-heavenly sovereign, left for such a long time and only found 2 wooden basins with little water in them. TSK. Those who don't know might think that you're a fake Shido Venerable. Voila!" Ningyu's words caused the corners of everyone's mouths to twitch. As expected of a prick, he dared to say anything. Shido the Venerable One was so infuriated that his veins bulged when Ningyu mocked him in front of so many people. "Stop talking nonsense. Quickly take out the divine rune grass and let Ningyu examine it." It was evident that Meng Quan did not want to waste any time. He told Shido the Venerable One, "Your task is to find a wooden basin and clean water, then hand over the sacred grail herb. As for the rest, it has nothing to do with you, so you don't have to ask." "Yes." Although Shido the Venerable was furious, he did not dare to talk back to Meng Quan. With a flick of his wrist, 2 cold rays flew towards Ningyu. "Pa! Pa!" Ningyu waved his hands and firmly caught the 2 beams of cold light. "That's right, these 2 are indeed divine rune herbs." Looking at the 2 herbs in his hand, Ningyu nodded and threw them into the wooden basin. He extended his hand towards Meng Quan and gestured for him to go ahead. "I'll let you lose," convincingly. An arc rose on the corner of Meng Quan's lips as he flicked his wrist and threw the divine connecting pellets into the wooden basin. Rustle! Seeing the divine connecting pellets in the wooden basin, the surrounding cultivators shifted their gazes over. Meng Quan had mentioned that if it was a mid-grade divine connecting pellet, then it would swiftly absorb all the water in the wooden basin. Thus, everyone wanted to see if Ningyu was refining a mid-grade divine connecting pellet. Sizzle! Not long after Meng Quan threw the divine connecting pellets into the wooden basin, a strange scene appeared. The water in the wooden basin was being absorbed by the divine rune herb at an alarming speed. The speed at which the divine rune herb absorbed the water was extremely fast, so fast that it caused everyone to exclaim, "Ha ha ha, Meng Quan, Ningyu is clearly refining a mid-grade divine connecting pellet, but you insisted on checking. Now, you've shot yourself in the foot. Since Ningyu is refining a mid-grade divine connecting pellet, then the first alchemy battle is Ningyu's victory. Hurry and hand over the cauldron and flame. You've lost, so you have to keep your promise." The changes in the wooden basin made everyone on the giant shield city's side overjoyed. At this speed, it would probably only take 10 seconds at most for the water to be absorbed by the divine rune herb. Right at this moment, the situation changed. The divine rune herb in the wooden basin suddenly stopped absorbing the water. When the divine rune herb stopped absorbing the water in the wooden basin was reduced by half. According to the conditions that Meng Quan mentioned earlier, Ningyu was clearly refining a low-grade divine connecting pellet. Ha ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. I'm really dying of laughter. The change exceeded everyone's expectations, especially Shido the Venerable, who laughed so hard that he almost cried. In particular, Shido the Venerable was laughing so hard that he almost cried. Now that he finally had a chance to mock Yangming, he would not waste it. He looked up and laughed maniacally, then he said sinisterly, "Who shot himself in the foot?" What a joke! After mocking Ningyu, Shido the Venerable turned around and said to Ningyu, "Hand over the cauldron and flame. If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to accept your loss. A loss is a loss, and you can't go back on your word." Uft. Towards the end, Shido the Venerable could not help but laugh out loud again. It was cathartic. It was especially cathartic. To Shido the Venerable, this might be the best opportunity for him to mock Ningyu. He would not get another chance like this if he missed this opportunity. Therefore, Shido the Venerable thought of every way he could to mock Ningyu. What he said before was just an appetizer, and the real mockery was yet to come. "Ningyu, you," Meng Quan uttered after sorting out his thoughts. "Stop, stop!" Ningyu waved his hand and interrupted Shido the Venerable impatiently. "How did you know that I lost? Have you lost your mind?" Shido the Venerable widened his eyes in an exaggerated manner. "You didn't refine a middle-grade divine connecting pill, but a low-grade divine connecting pill. Tell me, how did you lose?" "I refined a low-grade divine connecting pill." Meng Quan checked it, so I don't need you to tell me. I just want to know, why did I lose? Ningyu rolled his eyes and asked, "Are you really dumb, or are you pretending?" Shido the Venerable took a deep breath and shouted with all his might, "Listen up, Master Meng Quan refined a low-grade divine connecting pill before you did, so you've lost. You've lost completely." Meng Quan refined a low-grade divine connecting pill? Why didn't I know? Am I blind? Ningyu frowned, and he looked rather confused. "You lost the bet. Hand over the furnace and the flame, and don't waste my time." Meng Quan released his aura, and it seemed like he would suppress Ningyu if the young fellow did not hand over the furnace and the flame. "Don't be nervous. Since you checked my divine connecting pill, I'll naturally check yours too." Chapter 1586. Chapter 1586. Chapter 1586. You lost. You want to check the divine connecting pill I refined? It was as if Meng Quan had heard the funniest joke in the world. He was slightly taken aback at first. Then he looked up to the sky and laughed maniacally. "Ha ha ha! Since you want to die, I'll let you die knowing. Watch carefully." Ningyu was not affected by Meng Quan's interference at all. He waved the divine connecting pill in his hand. Then in front of everyone, he threw it into another wooden basin. Swoosh! Seeing Ningyu throw the divine connecting pill, Meng Quan refined into the wooden basin. The martial artists on Giant Shield City's side all shifted their gazes to the wooden basin. As for the martial artists on the side of the Alchemy Union, they all revealed mocking expressions. The martial artists of the Alchemy Union had a kind of belief in Meng Quan that was close to worship. In their opinion, Meng Quan was definitely refining a low-grade divine connecting pill. No matter how Ningyu checked, he would not find any problems. Playing tricks. Meng Quan stood on the spot, his arms crossed in front of his chest, and stared at Ningyu with interest. "I'm a 9th grade peak alchemist. Could it be that I can't even differentiate between a low-grade spirit connecting pill and a middle-grade spirit connecting pill?" "I believe you can tell." Ningyu shrugged, pointed to the water in the wooden basin, and said, "Can I trouble you to see if there are any changes in the water in this basin?" Hearing Ningyu's words, Meng Quan was stunned at first. Then he shifted his gaze to the wooden basin. This glance directly caused Meng Quan to be stunned on the spot. At this moment, Meng Quan was very puzzled, very puzzled. What he was refining was definitely a low-grade spirit connecting pill. There was no way he could be wrong. Why did the low-grade divine connecting pill and the god pattern grass not reduce the water in the wooden basin? Previously, he had said that with the help of the low-grade divine connecting pill, the god pattern grass could absorb half of the water. Now that the water in the wooden basin did not decrease at all, according to the judgment conditions, didn't that mean that he was refining a low-grade divine connecting pill? Thinking of this, Meng Quan's originally gloomy face became even more gloomy to the point of being terrifying. What's going on? Could it be that something unexpected has happened? There shouldn't be any changes. Master Meng Quan is definitely refining a low-grade divine connection Dan. I don't believe that Ning you can play any tricks. It's hard to say. Look at Grandmaster Meng Quan's face. It has already become very ugly. Voila! The change in Meng Quan's expression naturally caused the Alchemy Guild's martial artists to discuss animatedly. Originally, they trusted Meng Quan unconditionally, but now they faintly felt that something was wrong. Who's that? Yes, I'm talking about you. Shido the Venerable One, come here. At this moment, Ning Yu waved his hand at Shido the Venerable One and said, "Open your eyes wide and tell me if there's any change in the water in the wooden basin." Humph! I don't believe you can overturn the heavens. Shido the Venerable One scoffed and quickly approached the wooden basin. When Shido the Venerable One looked at the wooden basin. He was dumbfounded like Meng Quan earlier. There was no change. The water in the wooden basin, the divine connection pill, and the god vein herb were all in harmony. There was no change at all. How's this possible? Shido the Venerable One's mouth was wide open in disbelief. He exclaimed, "Ningyu, what exactly did you do? Why isn't the water absorbed by the god vein herb at all? I know. You must have done something to the god vein herb. You must have done something." Shido the Venerable One kept shouting as if he had lost his mind. Boom! Shido the Venerable One's crazed roar caused a huge commotion in the surroundings. Initially, the Alchemy Guild's martial artists thought that Ningyu would definitely lose because Meng Quan would definitely refine inferior divine connection pills. Now, they looked at the wooden basin as if they had seen a ghost. When their eyes fell on the wooden basin, their eyes widened and they were dumbfounded. The water did not decrease at all. In other words, Meng Quan did not refine inferior divine connection pills. It was not an inferior divine connection pill, let alone a medium divine connection pill. A terrifying thought crossed the minds of the Alchemy Guild's martial artists. Meng Quan did not refine divine connection pills. As soon as this thought arose, it lingered in their minds for a long time. Shido the Venerable One, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Ningyu was indifferent. You were the one who took out the god vein herb, so how could I have done anything? If I did, you must have done something to it. Swoosh! Meng Quan instantly looked at Shido the Venerable One. Meng Quan knew very well that he had sealed the divine connection pills, so Ning you could not have done anything to them. Moreover, Shido the Venerable One was the one who took out the divine connection herbs. Could Shido the Venerable One have betrayed him? The more Meng Quan thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Shido the Venerable One had followed him back to the Alchemy Guild and joined him. Nevertheless, Meng Quan knew that Shido the Venerable One was not resigned to the outcome. It was not impossible for Shido the Venerable One to plot against him with Ningyu. Shido the Venerable One's heart skipped a beat when he saw Meng Quan's cold face. Shido the Venerable One knew he must distance himself from this matter, or the consequences would be unbearable. Nonsense. Shido the Venerable One stomped on the ground and charged at Ningyu. Show his loyalty. At this point, there was only one way for Shido the Venerable One to regain Meng Quan's trust, which was to sneak an attack on Ningyu to show his loyalty. You're not allowed to behave atrociously here. Xieze, who was next to Shido the Venerable One, flung his sleeve when he saw him making a move. A cold light shot out and attacked Shido the Venerable One. Bam! Uft! Two sounds were heard consecutively. The first was the clear sound when the cold light hit Shido the Venerable One's chest. The second was the sound when Shido the Venerable One spat out blood. Xia Zhe had been paying attention to the changes on Ningyu's side. When he saw that Shido the Venerable was about to attack Ningyu, Xie Zhe immediately launched a powerful attack at the expense of his vitality. Although Shido the Venerable did not die from Xie Zhe's powerful attack, he suffered an irreparable injury. Shido the Venerable was only a quasi-heavenly supreme, and he was caught off guard by Xie Zhe's swift attack. Being heavily injured was considered a light punishment. Master Mengquan, please hand over the netherworld ghost flame and the heaven-breaking cauldron. You can't go back on your words. Ning Yu lightly smiled as he turned to look at Mengquan and said, "Damn it." Mengquan was so furious that his lungs were about to explode. He had shot himself in the foot. He initially thought that he would definitely win, but the situation took a turn for the worse. After cursing inwardly, Mengquan transmitted his voice to Yunfeng. "Old Yin, quickly think of something. The netherworld ghost flame and the heaven-breaking cauldron are my personal possessions, and I can't let them fall into Ningyu's hands. Don't be in a hurry. Hand them over to Ning, you first." Chapter 1587. Chapter 1587. Chapter 1587. Bone Age. Actually, Yunfeng said these words because he had no other choice. Originally, Yunfeng thought that he could suppress Xie Zhe and Guoliang. After all, Xie Zhe and Guoliang's lifespan was limited. They wouldn't burn their life force to fight him. But when he saw Xie Zhe burning his life to fight Shido the Venerable, Yunfeng instantly understood. Xie Zhe and Guoliang regarded Ningyu with great importance. As long as Ningyu's life was in danger, they would definitely burn their lives to fight. The current situation had changed from having an absolute advantage to being evenly matched. If both sides clashed, it was hard to tell who would win. Crack, crack. Yunfeng's refusal to help Mengquan made Mengquan's face turn even uglier. He clenched his fists and made cracking sounds. "Here you go." Mengquan took a deep breath before flicking his sleeve and tossing the netherworld ghost flame towards Ningyu. Chi-Chi. The netherworld ghost flame was a heaven-defying flame ranked 32nd on the mystic flames list. As it flew toward Ningyu, the friction between the netherworld ghost flame and the air produced sizzling sounds. "I'm handing the netherworld ghost flame to you, but I'm afraid you won't be able to take it even if you want it." Mengquan's cold words sounded out from his mouth. "How can a mere flame ranked 32nd on the mystic flames list stop me?" Ning Yu naturally chose to mock back at Mengquan. With a flick of his wrist, a pale green flame appeared on Ning Yu's fingertip. Myriad Beasts Flame. The Myriad Beasts Flame was ranked 30th on the mystic flames list, 2 ranks higher than the netherworld ghost flame. It was these 2 ranks that prevented the netherworld ghost flame from crossing the Myriad Beasts Flame's line of defense. Swoosh! The Myriad Beasts Flame suddenly spread out and enveloped the netherworld ghost flame in front of Mengquan before flying toward Ningyu. "Be good and go in." Ningyu opened his storage ring and let the Myriad Beasts Flame and netherworld ghost flame enter the storage ring. As soon as the netherworld ghost flame entered the storage ring, Ningyu quickly controlled the demonic lotus flame to approach the netherworld ghost flame. The demonic lotus flame was ranked 5th on the bizarre flame ranking. Using the 10,000 beast flame or the 10,000 bone flame to suppress the netherworld ghost flame might not have a good effect. But there would be no problem with using the demonic lotus flame to suppress the netherworld ghost flame. What? As soon as the netherworld ghost flame entered the storage ring, Mengquan's eyes revealed a terrified expression. It was even to the extent that Mengquan directly spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. Mengquan discovered that he had completely lost contact with the netherworld ghost flame. In other words, the current netherworld ghost flame no longer belonged to him. How is this possible? Mengquan was in disbelief. One had to know that the netherworld ghost flame was his life-bound flame. He had left a soul imprint in the netherworld ghost flame. There were only two ways to break the soul imprint he had left behind. First, the strength of his soul force had to surpass the strength of his soul force and reach the level of liquefying into a pill. Obviously, Ningyu did not fulfill this condition. Secondly, Ningyu had a flame that was ranked in the top 10 of the mystical flame ranking. This possibility was extremely high. I must think of a way to capture Ningyu alive and then force him to reveal his secret. At this moment, Mang Quan calmed down. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stared coldly at Ningyu. He made a decision in his heart. Hey, Master Mang Quan, since you've already handed the netherworld ghost flame to me, why don't you hurry up and throw the heaven-splitting alchemy furnace over? You did not know what Mang Quan was thinking. He waved his hand and said impatiently, "My time is very precious. Don't waste my time." Here, Mang Quan's cold expression instantly returned to normal. He flicked his wrist and threw the heaven-splitting alchemy furnace to Ningyu. Pa! Catching the heaven-splitting alchemy furnace steadily, Ningyu examined it carefully and then threw it into the storage ring. Ningyu already had the incorporeal alchemy furnace on him. The heaven-splitting alchemy furnace was not very useful to him. The first match is Giant Shield City's victory. Next, the second match, the martial arts round. Yun Feng's voice resounded. Martial arts round. Our alchemy union has sent out Wu Tsang. Boom! Along with Yun Feng's voice, a robust man appeared before Ningyu and the rest with heavy steps. Seeing the robust man, Wu Tsang, Guoliang, and Xie Zhe's faces instantly turned dark. Especially Guoliang. His face was extremely unsightly as he coldly said, "Yun Feng, didn't you say that the martial arts round is for cultivators below the age of 25? Are you sure that this robust man is below the age of 25? Not only Guoliang and Xie Zhe's faces were unsightly, but even Ningyu and the Golden Arowana King's faces were extremely unsightly. They weren't concerned about Wu Tsang's age, but his cultivation. Pinnacle 9th grade, Earth Sovereign. A cultivator below the age of 25 is telling me that his cultivation is at the pinnacle 9th grade, Earth Sovereign? Perhaps there might be such a peerless genius in some heaven-defying forces. However, Ningyu and the rest believed that there wouldn't be such a peerless genius in the alchemy union of the Pellet Formation mainland. Wu Tsang, 24 years and 11 months old. If you don't believe me, you can check his bone age. Yun Feng shrugged his shoulders and said, "Humph, of course we have to check." Guo Liang coldly snorted as he unleashed his powerful perception to check Wu Tsang's bone age. As time went on, Guo Liang's face turned uglier and uglier. In the end, Guo Liang turned his head away and shook his head at Ningyu. Guo Liang's meaning was clear. Wu Tsang's bone age was indeed below the age of 25. Master, Ningyu will definitely lose this battle, right? If Ningyu dares to fight against a peerless genius below the age of 25, he will definitely be killed on the spot. Zhou Xin's eyes were filled with unwillingness as he watched from afar. Not long ago, he made a bet with the Tianji Oldman and thought that he could become the Tianji Oldman's disciple and learn the Tianji art. Who would have thought that Meng Quan was a good-for-nothing and caused him to lose the bet? Zhou Xin was a scheming person. The anger in his eyes disappeared in a flash, and he even began to change the topic. Do you really think that Wu Tsang is below the age of 25? The Tianji Oldman looked around with a faint smile. Master, how can this be fake? Zhou Xin asked doubtfully. Let's see what Ningyu has to say for now. The Tianji Oldman did not explain to Zhou Xin. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Ningyu. Ningyu again. The Tianji Oldman's actions made Zhou Xin gnash his teeth in hatred, but there was nothing he could do. Helpless, Zhou Shen could only vent his anger on Ningyu as he looked angrily at Ningyu in the distance. Wu Tsang's bone age is indeed below the age of 25. I admit that. When Guoliang unleashed his perception, Ningyu also unleashed his perception to check Wu Tsang's bone age. After checking, Wu Tsang's bone age was indeed below the age of 25. Chapter 1588. Humph. What a load of nonsense. What a load of nonsense. Hearing Ningyu's quibble, Meng Quan coldly snorted and fiercely said, "Since birth, a person's bone age is fixed. Wu Tsang's bone age is less than 25 years old, which means that he's also younger than 25 years old. Yet, you're trying to mislead the crowd. Are you a coward and afraid to fight?" Meng Quan's words were harsh. He had publicly called Ningyu a coward in front of so many people. Ningyu didn't have much of a reaction, but the faces of everyone in Giant Shield City were extremely ugly, especially the Golden Arowana Fish King, Bada, and Chiemo. These hall masters of Sovereign Palace were especially furious. Ningyu was their chief hall master. Meng Quan's words about Ningyu were a slap to their faces. This was intolerable. The enraged Arowana Fish King, Bada, and the others even wanted to fight Meng Quan. "Stand down." What a scandal! Seeing that the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada were about to fight, Ningyu immediately berated. Since Master Meng Quan said that Wu Tsang is younger than 25 years old, then he is younger than 25 years old. There's no need for us to argue. As he spoke, Ningyu slightly paused before continuing. "Chiemo, go to Giant Shield City and call Galbo over. He'll fight in the second match." On the surface, that was what Ningyu and Chiemo had ordered, but that wasn't the case. Chiemo's purpose in returning to Giant Shield City was not to look for the illusory Galbo, but to investigate Master Xingyun's news. After all, Master Xingyun's elixir refinement was a matter of great importance. The purpose of Ningyu's 3 matches with Yun Feng was to stall for time. It was a good move to have Chiemo return to Giant Shield City. Yes, Perfected Devil nodded his head and then flew towards Giant Shield City. Acting mysterious, seeing that Taoist GMO had returned to Giant Shield City, Meng Quan gloomily said, "I don't believe that Giant Shield City has a 9th grade peak Earth Supreme below the age of 25. Ningyu completely turned a deaf ear to Meng Quan's gloomy and cold words. It went in one ear and out the other. For now, he would let Meng Quan have some advantage in words. When Grandmaster Xingyun brought the 2 pills over, it would be the time of Meng Quan's death. Seeing that Ningyu still had no reaction, Meng Quan immediately felt bored. After muttering a few words, he retreated to Musashi's side and whispered into his ear. The conversation between Meng Quan and Musashi was nothing more than telling Musashi not to hold back and to kill that Galbo in one strike. What the hell is he doing? On the other side, Yun Feng frowned. He couldn't figure out what Ningyu was trying to do. As a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, Musashi was extremely powerful. What was the difference between Ningyu asking a mortal GMO to look for the unknown Galbo and throwing his life away? Yun Feng didn't believe that Galbo was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. After all, a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign below the age of 25 was too exaggerated. Even Musashi had only possessed a martial artist below the age of 25, and he wasn't a genuine, peerless genius. Could it be that he's trying to stall for time? Yun Feng was truly worthy of being one of the upper echelons of the Alchemy Union. He only pondered for a few minutes before he could guess Ningyu's thoughts. However, Yun Feng was arrogant. Furthermore, he didn't believe that there were any experts in the Giant Shield City. In Yun Feng's view, there was no meaning in Ningyu trying to stall for time. Forget it. It's not a big deal to wait for a few minutes. After a brief pondering, Yun Feng chose to close his eyes. With Guoliang and Xieze here, it wouldn't be easy for him to take down Ningyu and the Arowana King. In the worst-case scenario, he might even be heavily injured. Xieze, Do you know what Ningyu's plan is? Yun Feng wasn't the only one who was puzzled by Ningyu's actions. Even Guoliang felt perplexed and lost. In Guoliang's view, this battle wasn't comparable at all. Facing a pinnacle ninth grade Earth sovereign, no matter who the giant shield city sent out, the outcome would be the same: death. What the hell do I know? Xie Zhe rolled his eyes and sourly said, "What's Ningyu doing? It's best if we don't interfere. After all, we still have to rely on Ningyu to expel the poison in our bodies." "You're right." Guoliang nodded his head and didn't say anything else. Actually, Guoliang's words were just to probe Xie Zhe. Truth be told, Guoliang and Ningyu had been in the same boat ever since they fought with Yunfeng. Although Guoliang was a half-saint at his peak, his strength had dropped to the level of a pinnacle heavenly supreme now that he was heavily injured. Most importantly, every time Guoliang made a move, he would need to consume a large amount of his vitality. In his current state, the possibility of him winning against Yunfeng was very low. At this time, he could only unite with Ningyu and make use of Xie Zhe's bravery to intimidate Yunfeng. Everyone present had their own ulterior motives in their hearts. But relatively speaking, the atmosphere in the Alchemy Union was much better. After all, the one they sent out was Wu Tsang, an extremely heaven-defying cultivator. Naturally, he wouldn't let them down. On the giant shield city side, everyone wore a grave expression and no one spoke. The atmosphere became very oppressive. Whoosh! This oppressive atmosphere only slightly eased up when Dao Master GMO appeared with Gao Bo. "I'm Gao Bo." However, when everyone from the giant shield city saw the young man that Dao Master GMO brought back, they couldn't help cursing. "This is the Gao Bo that you brought back?" He wasn't even 25 years old, but his cultivation was only a pinnacle ninth grade Earth sovereign. The cultivators from the giant shield city were collectively petrified. What kind of joke was this? Only Ningyu could think of letting a pinnacle ninth grade Earth sovereign fight a pinnacle ninth grade Earth sovereign. Ha ha ha. On the Alchemy Union side, Shido Venerable roared with laughter. After laughing, he couldn't help ridiculing. "Ningyu, this is the Gaobo that you brought back? A pinnacle ninth grade Earth sovereign. TSK, TSK. Not bad, he's actually in the same realm as Wu Tsang. Looks like this battle will be evenly matched." Evenly matched? Beside Shido Venerable, the Southern Dipper Venerable and Northern Dipper Venerable echoed each other. "Isn't that right? Gao Bo and Wu Tsang have the same cultivation, so it's normal to say that they're evenly matched." A cold smile appeared on the corner of Northern Dipper Venerable's lips. Now that they had the opportunity to ridicule Ningyu, they naturally wouldn't waste it. Extreme ridicule. The three of them began to ridicule Ningyu to the extreme in this area. All sorts of ridicule came out from their mouths. Facing the enemy's ridicule, Ningyu had to respond. Chapter 1589. Chapter 1589. Chapter 1589. Concede defeat. "Who are you calling a fly?" Shido the Venerable One, Nan the Venerable One, and the others were mocking Ningyu, but they were not deaf. When Ningyu's words reached their ears, the three of them immediately exploded and glared at Ningyu. "Whoever argues with me is a fly." Ningyu shrugged and said indifferently. For Ningyu, the most important thing was to stall for time. When Taoist Master GMO returned just now, he brought back an extremely important piece of news. Master Xing Yin still needed at least an hour to refine the pill. Naturally, Ningyu had to stall for this 1 hour. Bickering with Shido the Venerable One and the others was also a way to buy time. You! Shido the Venerable One felt embarrassed after being rebuked by Ningyu. He was a half-step heavenly supreme, while Ningyu was only a pinnacle grade 9 human sovereign. Originally, under Meng Quan's account, it was already a little hard for him to mingle around. If the matter of him being ridiculed by Ning Yu were to spread back to the pill refining union, it would be even harder for him to mingle around. What about you? Do you want to kill me? Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, Did you know that you definitely lose the second round, so you're arguing with me on purpose and trying to stall for time? This is infuriating. Shido the Venerable One was so infuriated that his veins bulged, and even his hair stood on end. This was going too far. Ning Yu had gone too far. Whoosh! Although Shido the Venerable One really wanted to attack Ning Yu, he did not completely lose his mind. His gaze shifted towards Meng Quan. Ning Yu, cut the crap. Let the second round begin. Without looking at Shido the Venerable One's furious eyes, Meng Quan cut to the chase at Ning Yu. We're sending Wu Chang, whereas you're sending Gao Bo. The second match will be a death match, and life and death will be determined by fate. As for them, stop! Before Meng Quan could finish speaking, Ning Yu hastily waved his hand and said, When did you hear that we were going to send Gao Bo to battle? I heard it with both my ears. Meng Quan said furiously, Don't go back on your word because it's useless even if you do. I'm sorry, but I never go back on my word. I just wanted to say that Gao Bo's strength is too great. If he fights, he will inevitably kill that Musashi. Therefore, I will continue to fight in the second round. Ning Yu's lips curled into a smile as he said, Hall Master, please reconsider. Absolutely not. Don't take the risk. Upon hearing Ning Yu's words, Taoist Master GMO and the others' expressions changed greatly, and they hurriedly dissuaded him. Ning Yu was only a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign. What was the difference between him and Wu Tsang and sending him to his death? Please send Gao Bo out for the second match. Gao Bo took a step forward and knelt on one knee in front of Ning Yu. Ning Yu was slightly stunned, a little puzzled. Hall Master, Gao Bo is a member of our Supreme Palace. Taoist Master GMO whispered in Ning Yu's ear. He volunteered to fight in the second round. I didn't force him. Taoist Master G Mo's words made Ning Yu very speechless. The reason he asked Taoist Master GMO to return to Giant Shield City was not to find Gao Bo to fight on his behalf, but to find out if Grandmaster Xingyun had refined the elixir. Go somewhere cool and wait. I'll fight in the second round. Ning Yu revealed an impatient look. Wu Tsang was strong, and Ning Yu naturally would not let Gao Bo go to his death. Moreover, if he fought, he could still delay for a period of time. Why not? At most, he would surrender in the end. Delaying for time was the most important thing. Everything else could be put aside. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Seeing Ning Yu volunteering to fight in the second round, Meng Quan laughed until he was out of breath. Ning Yu, if you can defeat Wu Tsang, I'll listen to your orders from today onwards. Taking a deep breath, Meng Quan tried his best to stop himself and said, If you can't defeat Wu Tsang, then return my netherworld ghost flame and heaven-breaking cauldron to me. You want the netherworld ghost flame and heaven-breaking cauldron? Ning Yu revealed an exaggerated expression and said in surprise, Why would I make this bet with you? In my opinion, the netherworld ghost flame and heaven-breaking cauldron are much more important than you. You. Hearing Ning Yu comparing him to the netherworld ghost flame and heaven-breaking cauldron, Meng Quan's lungs were about to explode. He stretched out his right hand and pointed at Ning Yu. I hope you won't kneel and beg for mercy when you fight Wu Tsang. How can I kneel and beg for mercy? A mere pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign can't stop me. Ning Yu's performance was very arrogant, to the point that even the Giant Shield City's side couldn't bear to watch it and chose to turn their heads away. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Ning Yu was definitely not a match for Musashi. But why did Ning Yu insist on fighting Wu Tsang? Just what was he trying to do? Wu Tsang! A cold light flashed in Meng Quan's eyes as he turned to Wu Tsang and said, Let Ning Yu know how powerful you are. Don't hold back. Boom! Wu Tsang did not answer Meng Quan directly. Instead, he stomped his right foot on the ground. Now, I'll announce the rules of the second round. There's no time limit until one party dies. Only now did Yun Feng announce the start of the second round. When Ning Yu and Meng Quan were arguing, Yun Feng had been pondering why Ning Yu would drag the time. But after thinking for a long time, Yun Feng still could not figure out the reason. And right at this time, Ning Yu hurriedly said, "I feel that the rules of the second round should be slightly changed." "Oh, you want to change the rules?" Yun Feng's brows raised as he looked at Ning Yu and said, "Naturally, we have to change the rules. The first round's alchemy battle rules were set by you. The second deathmatch rules definitely have to be set by us." Ning Yu nodded and said, "Fine. I want to see what kind of rules you can set." Yun Feng said in a cold voice, "Fighting, even though it's hard to avoid deaths and injuries, heaven has the virtue of cherishing life. In my opinion, as long as one party admits defeat, the other party can't continue attacking anymore," Ning Yu said in a clear voice with a sense of righteousness. Swoosh! When Ning Yu's words fell, the surrounding martial artists all shifted their gazes toward him. Except these martial artists' gazes were all peculiar gazes. "I feel that—" Yun Feng frowned slightly and said, Sorry, I haven't finished speaking." Ning Yu stretched out his right hand and said with a little apology, "My original intention was to have a good spar with Musashi. But I'm injured today, so I can only helplessly give up this match. If there's a chance next time, I'll definitely experience Musashi's strength," Ning Yu said, admitting defeat in such a dignified manner. For a moment, it actually caused the Alchemy Union and Giant Shield City martial artists to be dumbfounded on the spot. Especially the Alchemy Union martial artists. Their faces were even more dumbfounded. At the start, when Ning Yu proposed to fight with Musashi, although they were not optimistic about Ning Yu, they also felt that Ning Yu was a man. Who would have thought that Ning Yu actually announced that he admitted defeat? Chapter 1590. Chapter 1590. Chapter 1590 Suppress. Are you **King kidding me? Ning Yu's sudden surrender was something Meng Quan hadn't expected. He was waiting for Musashi to kill Ning Yu so that he could take back the Netherworld, Ghost Flame, and Heaven-crushing continent. Now that Ning Yu admitted defeat, didn't that mean that his plan was ruined? The Netherworld, Ghost Flame, and the Heaven-breaking Cauldron were his natal cauldron and flame. No matter what, he had to find a way to take them back. With a thought, Meng Quan had a countermeasure. He said in a clear voice, "If you don't dare to fight Musashi, then just admit it. Why do you insist on saying that you're injured? How hypocritical! I can give you a chance. Let Wu Chang suppress his cultivation to the peak of level 9 human supreme master to fight with you." Ning Yu really did not expect that Meng Quan would actually propose this condition that was most beneficial to him. For a moment, Ning Yu fell into deep thought. Under normal circumstances, with Ning Yu's current strength, he could kill someone of the same level as him without any effort. But Musashi was different. Wu Tsang was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. Even if he suppressed his cultivation to the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, he still had outstanding battle experience. Of course, Musashi's combat experience was not what Ning Yu was most worried about. What worried Ning Yu the most was whether Musashi would really suppress his cultivation to the peak 9th grade Sovereign Realm. If he agreed to fight Musashi when the time came and Musashi took the opportunity to use a higher level of strength, wouldn't he be finished? Therefore, even if he promised Meng Quan, he had to make sure that nothing went wrong. "I know what you're worried about, but don't worry. Wu Tsang will definitely suppress his cultivation to the pinnacle 9th grade Sovereign Realm. I can make him swear a heavenly oath," Meng Quan hurriedly said when he saw Ning Yu hesitate, as he was deeply afraid that Ning Yu would go back on his word. "Tell me about it." Ning Yu didn't answer Meng Quan directly. Instead, he said indifferently. With a flick of Meng Quan's wrist, 2 medicinal pills appeared in his hand. Waving the elixirs in his hand, Meng Quan said, "These 2 are suppression elixirs that can suppress the cultivation of a cultivator below the Earth Sovereign realm." As he spoke, Meng Quan tossed 2 medicinal pills to Ningyu. "Pa!" After receiving the pill, Ningyu used his perception to examine it, and then said, "A mere suppression pill can't convince me. I have a good idea." Right at this moment, Xieze took a step forward and said, "I'll suppress Musashi's cultivation, and then allow all of you to inspect him. If there's no mistake, then allow him to fight Ningyu." This, Meng Quan hesitated before shifting his gaze towards Yunfeng. To be honest, the reason why Meng Quan Hui proposed the method just now was because he had Yunfeng's approval. Now that the situation had changed, he naturally had to seek Yunfeng's approval. "Let's do that." Yunfeng didn't waste any more time. After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes and rested. "Pardon me." Receiving Yunfeng's confirmation, Xieze first cupped his fists towards Musashi before unleashing his aura and violently pressuring Musashi. Facing Xieze's pressure, Musashi did not have any reaction and remained calm. Crack! But along with Xieze's pressure, Musashi's own aura gradually weakened. Roughly a minute later, Xieze stopped. Letting out a long breath, Xieze wiped the sweat on his forehead and revealed a relieved expression. On the other hand, Musashi's aura was at the pinnacle 9th grade sovereign realm. Whoosh! At this moment, Yunfeng suddenly opened his eyes and his powerful perception probed Musashi's body. Yunfeng examined Musashi meticulously, fearing that Xieze might have done something to Musashi. After examining for a full 3 minutes, Yunfeng retracted his perception and nodded his head. "The second battle will be as Meng Quan said. Musashi will suppress his cultivation to the pinnacle 9th grade sovereign realm and fight with Ningyu." "Yes." A robust voice resounded from Musashi's mouth. Thereafter, Musashi stomped his right foot on the ground and charged towards Ningyu. Not only was Musashi robust, but he was also swift. Wherever Musashi passed, a strong gust of wind would howl and attack Ningyu. If you're a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, I naturally wouldn't dare to fight with you. But you're only a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. How are you going to fight with me? Looking at Musashi, who was getting closer, a smile rose on the corner of Ningyu's lips. The primal chi in Ningyu's sea of consciousness gathered on his right wrist as he threw a punch at Musashi. Boom! As the 2 fists clashed, a violent gale blew, and a terrifying shock wave spread out with Ningyu and Musashi at the center. Sizzle! 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 Ningyu and Musashi's right feet rubbed against the ground. In the first exchange, Ningyu and Musashi were equally matched, with both of them taking 3 to 4 steps back. But from the marks left on the ground, it could be seen that Musashi had gained a slight advantage in this exchange. "You're truly powerful." Ningyu rubbed his slightly swollen wrist, and his expression became solemn. Initially, Ningyu thought that Musashi wouldn't be his opponent after suppressing his cultivation to a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and that Ningyu could easily defeat him. But from the looks of it, he was wrong, and it was a little ridiculous. Although Musashi had suppressed his cultivation to a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, his strength wasn't weak and could even be on par with him. If he didn't use any trump cards, Ningyu wouldn't be Musashi's opponent in terms of physical strength. It should be due to Musashi's body. He's born with divine strength. Ningyu made a preliminary judgment and felt that the cultivator who possessed Musashi must have taken a fancy to Musashi's body. Generally speaking, it was difficult for a cultivator to perfectly fuse with the body after possessing it. But the body of a cultivator with innate divine strength was different. After possessing them, The cultivator could perfectly avoid the period of weakness and perfectly fuse with the body. Tisk, tsk, tsk. You're indeed capable, but you won't be so lucky next. Truth be told, Musashi was also surprised that Ningyu could withstand his attack. But Musashi was, after all, a pinnacle ninth grade Earth sovereign. Although he had suppressed his cultivation, he still had his pride. Whoosh! In the next instant, Musashi opened his mouth and spat out a fist-sized rock. Whoosh! The speed of the rock was terrifying. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived in front of Ningyu. What the hell is that? Ningyu's heart skipped a beat and he immediately retreated. Unfortunately, the speed at which Ningyu retreated was clearly slower than the speed of the rock. After taking a few steps back, Ningyu gave up on the idea of retreating. He quickly took out the heaven-crushing cauldron and placed it before him. Bang! The rock hit the heaven-crushing cauldron. A clear and crisp sound rang out. Although the heaven-crushing cauldron had blocked the rock's attack, it had also suffered heavy damage. The fist-sized hole was especially glaring on the heaven-crushing cauldron. Ah, my heaven-crushing cauldron! Ningyu, how dare you destroy my heaven-crushing cauldron? Are you tired of living? Chapter 1591. Chapter 1591. Chapter 1591. Heaven Mending Stone. I used my heaven-breaking cauldron to block Musashi's attack. What does that have to do with you? Ning, you couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Meng Quan. The urgent matter at hand was to deal with Wu Chang, and not to argue with Meng Quan about the ownership of the heaven-breaking pill furnace. The heaven-breaking cauldron was a top-notch cauldron that was ranked in the top 40 of the heaven list of cauldrons. The fact that the stone that Wu Tsang spat out could actually make a hole in it was enough to show that the stone was extraordinary. Do you think that a trifling heaven-splitting pill furnace can block my heaven-mending stone? After catching the rebounded stone, Musashi's mouth curled into a cold smile. The heaven-mending stone was incomparably hard. It could even be described as the world's most wondrous stone. It was rumored that in ancient times 7 holes appeared in the sky. An ancient almighty used 7 heaven-mending stones to perfectly mend them. Who would have thought that the world would change and become a scene of desolation? As for the 7 heaven-mending stones, their whereabouts were also unknown. Unexpectedly, Musashi was lucky enough to obtain one. Of course, Musashi was probably the only one in this area who knew that the stone was a sky-mending stone. Even Ning, you didn't know that the stone was the heaven-mending stone. He only knew that it was incomparably hard. Ningyu, quickly think of a way to snatch that stone. Ning, you didn't know about the heaven-mending stone, but that didn't mean others didn't know. At this moment, an anxious voice rang in Ningyu's mind. Dark Emperor, aren't you in seclusion? The words in Ningyu's mind made him a little confused. Ning, you clearly remembered that when the Dark Emperor was in seclusion, he had said that it would take at least a few months, and at most a few years. How long had it been since then? The Dark Emperor actually took the initiative to speak to him. However, the Dark Emperor's nature was hard to change. He still wanted good things when he saw them. Don't worry about whether or not I'm in seclusion. I'll tell you the truth. That stone is a heaven-mending stone. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. The Dark Emperor was obviously very anxious. Actually, the Dark Emperor was indeed in seclusion. This time, he informed Ningyu that the stone in Wu Chang's hands was the heaven-mending stone. He was also taking the risk of going berserk. At first, the Dark Emperor didn't want to care, but when he found out that the stone was a heaven-mending stone, he had no choice but to take the risk and inform Ningyu. There were only 7 heaven-mending stones, and they all had a great relationship with the heaven-swallowing dog clan. He had to inform Ningyu. Gulp. After hearing the Dark Emperor's story, Ningyu couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. The heaven-mending stone was a good item. If he could obtain the divine mending stone, Then he would have another life-saving trump card while the red demon sword leveled up. Moreover, the heaven-mending stone was incomparably hard. It could be said that no magical treasure or flying sword could break it in half. It was the best way to deal with enemies. I wonder if the Ascension Pagoda can trap the heaven-mending stone. Since he wanted to seize the heaven-mending stone, he had to think of a way to trap it. Moreover, the heaven-mending stone was incomparably hard. Ordinary containers couldn't contain it. Gritting his teeth, Ningyu decided to try using the Ascension Pagoda. You can't catch a wolf without risking a child. You dare to be distracted while fighting me? Die. Ningyu's momentary distraction gave Musashi a good opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Wu Chong threw the stone in his hand at Ningyu with all his might, although Musashi knew that the stone he threw was a heaven-mending stone. He didn't know how to use it. He only knew how to throw it with brute force. The attack just now had created a hole in the heaven-crushing cauldron, greatly increasing Musashi's confidence. He felt that he could kill Ningyu with just the heaven-mending stone. He didn't need to do anything else. Heaven-crushing cauldron. With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu placed the heaven-crushing cauldron horizontally in front of him. While no one was paying attention, Ningyu secretly threw the Ascension Pagoda into the heaven-crushing cauldron. He planned to use it to collect the heaven-mending stone. I already said that the heaven-crushing cauldron can't block my stone attack. Seeing that Ningyu was using the heaven-crushing cauldron to block the heaven-mending stone, Musashi coldly snorted. He felt that Ningyu was using an arm to block a chariot. Bang! Reality proved that Musashi was right. The heaven-mending stone displayed its usefulness. It directly broke through the heaven-crushing cauldron and entered the cauldron. Seeing the heaven-mending stone enter the heaven-crushing cauldron, Ningyu controlled the Ascension Pagoda inside the cauldron and opened the first floor. It's actually a heaven-mending stone. I can use it. Come in. What Ningyu didn't know was that the mysterious expert at the top floor of the Ascension Pagoda made a sound of surprise and waved his hand. In an instant, the heaven-mending stone flew towards the top floor of the Ascension Pagoda. Because Ningyu was fighting Musashi, he didn't know what was happening inside the Ascension Pagoda. Where's my stone? Outside the cauldron, Musashi's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He was on the verge of exploding. Ningyu, I'll give you 1 minute to hand over my stone. Otherwise, I'll grind your bones to dust. What stone? I have no idea what you're talking about. Ningyu pretended to be confused. Since the heaven-mending stone was in his hands, there was no reason for him to hand it over. Moreover, he was in a life-and-death battle with Musashi. Since it was a life-and-death battle, why should he return the heaven-mending stone to him? Was his brain rusty? I'll kill you. Musashi jumped up and down in anger after losing the heaven-mending stone. He roared at the sky and attacked again. This time, Musashi came in a rage. He was determined to kill Ningyu. Come at me. Without the heaven-mending stone, Ningyu naturally didn't fear Musashi anymore. Even if it was difficult to kill Musashi head-on, it was still possible to stall for time. It had been half an hour since Taoist Master Qi, M.O., returned from Giant Shield City. In other words, Ningyu only needed to stall for another half an hour for Master Xing Yin to refine the pill. Once Master Xing Yin finished refining the pill, Ningyu wouldn't need to worry about Yun Feng and Meng Quan anymore. At that time, if Xie Zhe and Guoliang consumed the pill, they would most likely be able to kill everyone in the Alchemy Union. Of course, what Ningyu needed to do now was to stall Musashi as much as he could. Shaking his head, Ningyu threw all these thoughts out of his mind and began to fight Musashi wholeheartedly. Rumble. All kinds of spells flew out. Due to his anger, Musashi used all his strength every time he attacked. On the surface, Musashi had the absolute advantage and looked like he could kill Ningyu at any time. This caused the people in the Alchemy Union to cheer, while the people in Giant Shield City looked gloomy. Ha ha ha, Ningyu, let's see how long you can last. The happiest person in the alchemy union was Meng Quan. Meng Quan laughed wildly and then said to Ningyu, I want to watch you being killed by Musashi, skin you alive and pull out your tendons. He, Musashi is invincible. Killing Ningyu will be a piece of cake. Musashi can kill Ningyu even if he suppresses his cultivation to the peak of 9th grade. If he goes all out, Ningyu will definitely… What? Chapter 1592. Chapter 1592. Chapter 1592 arrive just in time, Walla. Following the gaze of the martial artist, Zhang Xian looked over. Instantly, everyone from the alchemy union was dumbfounded. The outcome of the battle in the distance had already been decided. Ningyu stood there in a daze, his face filled with confusion. In front of Ningyu, Musashi was lying flat on the ground, his face filled with unwillingness. What the hell is going on? Ningyu did not react until Musashi stopped breathing. Just now he was fighting with Wu Tsang, but unexpectedly, a cold light suddenly shot out from the heaven-splitting alchemy furnace and instantly entered Wu Tsang's body. It was this ray of cold light that had killed Musashi on the spot. He could not have been more dead. Gulp. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Ningyu released his perception and cautiously approached the heaven-splitting alchemy furnace. The Tower of Yuzuan was still inside the heaven-breaking pill furnace. Ningyu did not want anything to happen to the Tower of Yuzuan. This was because Ningyu discovered that he had lost contact with the pagoda of the Supreme of Yuzu. Don't panic. I was the one who severed the connection between you and the Ascension Tower. A voice rang out in Ningyu's mind the moment he activated his perception. I was also the one who killed Musashi. Also, I have a use for the heaven-mending stone that entered the Tower of Yuzuan just now. I will compensate you in the future. After leaving these words, the voice went completely silent. As for Ningyu, he managed to re-establish contact with the pagoda of Yuzu. So it's you, Senior. Ningyu muttered to himself as he thought of a way to put away the broken heaven-breaking pill furnace and the Tower of Yuzuan. In a normal fight, it would be difficult for him to kill Musashi. Now, the seniors in the Yuzuan pagoda had helped him solve a huge problem. Why were you? You actually killed Musashi. Wu Tsang's tragic death caused Meng Quan's expression to change drastically. Stretching out his right hand, Meng Quan pointed at Ningyu and said, You cheated. You couldn't have killed Musashi. You must have cheated. Meng Quan was not the only one who thought that way. Meng Quan wasn't the only one who thought that way. After all, everyone could see that it would be difficult for Ningyu to kill Musashi. Even if he could kill Musashi, it would not be so easy. 10 minutes left. Ningyu silently counted the time. He only needed to delay for another 10 minutes, and Master Xing Yan would come over with the pills. At that time, not a single person from the Alchemist Union would be able to leave. In fact, Ningyu had thought of asking the mysterious expert in the Yuzuan pagoda for help, but he soon tossed the idea to the back of his head. 7, Tian said. And said Tian 1, Tian, Tian, 1 Tan. Tian, Wu, Wu 2, you, 1 U, Wu, Tian, Nonsense. It was clearly you who used evil arts to kill Musashi, Xiaoluo said. Meng Quan clenched his fists tightly and said furiously, I'm going to execute you on the spot. Boom. Meng Quan's words had a very great effect. The Alchemy Union's warriors stood behind Meng Quan. As long as Meng Quan gave the order, they would attack and kill Ningyu on the spot. Seeing the Alchemy Union's warriors, Chiemo and the rest from Giant Shield City also stood behind Ningyu. They were on the same side as Ningyu. Yunfeng, you can't afford to lose? Seeing that a conflict was about to break out between Ningyu and Meng Quan, Xie Zhe took a step forward and stood between them. He said to Yunfeng in a deep voice, "Out of the 3 matches, Ningyu won the first 2 matches. According to the previous agreement, you should immediately retreat with the people of the Alchemy Union and never step into the 1,000-leaf empire again." Swoosh! In an instant, all of the Alchemy Union's cultivators shifted their gazes towards Yunfeng. Yunfeng was their leader. It could be said that no matter what decision Yunfeng made, they would obey him unconditionally. As long as Yunfeng gave the order, they would immediately attack Mo and the rest. If I attack now, even if Xie Zhe and Guoliang burn their lives to fight me, I can still delay them for a long time. Yunfeng did not answer Xie Zhe immediately. Instead, he frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. His goal in coming to Giant Shield City this time was the Golden Arowana King, and not anyone else. As long as he could capture the Golden Arowana King, he was willing to make an appropriate sacrifice. Meng Quan, during the battle later, wait for an opportunity to capture the Golden Arowana King. Since he had decided to fight, Yunfeng directly sent a soul message to Meng Quan. Capture the Golden Arowana King, and we'll retreat immediately. Don't continue fighting. Yunfeng was not a fool. He had no intention of fighting Xie Zhe and Guoliang to the death. It would be best if he could retreat successfully. Xie Zhe, it's not that I don't want to retreat, but I have my own difficulties. Yunfeng revealed a troubled expression and said to Xie Zhe, Wu Tsang's status in the Alchemy Union is very high. Now that he was killed by Ningyu, I can only capture Ningyu and bring him back to the Alchemy Union as punishment. I promise you, as long as you hand over Ningyu, I will retreat immediately. Yunfeng was well aware of the mentality of Xie Zhe and the rest. He wanted to take advantage of the moment when Xie Zhe and the rest were enraged and suddenly attack. This was because when a person was enraged, their judgment would be greatly reduced. Wang. However, before Xie Zhe could speak, the void beside Ningyu suddenly split open and a figure appeared. Grandmaster Xingyin. The person was none other than Grandmaster Xingyin, who had stayed in Giant Shield City to refine elixirs. All right. Seeing Grandmaster Xingyin appear, especially the medicinal fragrance that Grandmaster Xingyin was emitting, Ningyu was extremely excited. He had bought so much time for Grandmaster Xingyin, and Grandmaster Xingyin finally did not disappoint and refined elixirs. Swish, swish. After appearing, Grandmaster Xingyin directly threw 2 elixirs to Ningyu and said in a deep voice, "You have successfully completed the mission. Go and rest first." Ningyu took the 2 elixirs, then waved his hand at Grandmaster Xingyin and said, "I will temporarily remember your contribution. It is my duty to work for the Palace Master." Grandmaster Xingyin cupped his fists and said, Grandmaster Xingyin was a person who valued friendship. Now that Ningyu was the Palace Master of Supreme Palace, and he was a branch Palace Master, he naturally had to listen to Ningyu's orders. Ningyu smiled slightly and then handed the 2 elixirs to Xie Zhe and Guoliang. At the same time, he sent a soul message to them: swallow and refine the elixirs. Then you will have 10 minutes to get rid of Yunfeng and the rest, dead or alive. Hearing Ningyu's words, Xie Zhe and Guoliang revealed an expression of disbelief. Among them, Xie Zhe did not hesitate at all and immediately swallowed the elixir. The elixir melted in his mouth and was completely refined by Xie Zhe in less than 10 seconds. What the F***CK? After refining the elixir, Xie Zhe couldn't help but curse. Xie Zhe was really too excited. Ningyu was right, 10 minutes. Chapter 1593. Charge. What is that pellet? Seeing the changes in Xie Zhe, Guoliang's heart trembled as he looked at the pellet in his hand. Xie Zhe didn't look like he was poisoned at all. On the contrary, he was brimming with energy. Combined with what Ning Yu had just said to him, a hopeful look appeared in his eyes. Clenching his teeth, Guo Liang swallowed the pellet. Buzz! Buzz! The pellet melted in his mouth and swiftly entered Guo Liang's body. What the F***CK? Guo Liang and Xie Zhe's reactions weren't any different. Although they could only fight for 10 minutes, 10 minutes was more than enough for a pinnacle-level heavenly sovereign like Guo Liang to do a lot of things. If I don't make a move now, then when? Ning Yu knew that time was limited, and every minute that he dragged on would mean an additional minute of danger. Thus, when he saw Guo Liang refining the pellet, he immediately ordered, "Get rid of Yun Feng and the rest within 10 minutes, regardless of whether they're dead or alive." Ning Yu's words were extremely clear. Yun Feng and the rest were from the Alchemist Union, and the Alchemist Union could be said to be the pinnacle force in the pellet formation continent. If they let a few of them escape and the headquarters of the Alchemist Union knew about this, then the consequences would be unimaginable. Thus, Ning Yu decided to let Xie Zhe and Guo Liang make a move. They had to get rid of Yun Feng and the rest within 10 minutes. Russell. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Xie Zhe and Guo Liang immediately made a move. Guo Liang was stronger, so he charged towards Yun Feng. Xie Zhe was slightly weaker, so he led Perfected Devil and the others to attack Meng Quan. Knowing that they only had 10 minutes, Xie Zhe and Guo Liang did not hold back at all. Xie Zhe had killed a pinnacle-level 9th grade Earth sovereign the moment he made a move. Shido Venerable, Beidou Venerable, Nando Venerable, the 3 of you stay behind. Everyone else, retreat with me. The sudden change caused Meng Quan's eyes to reveal a trace of fear. Having said that, Meng Quan was a smart and brave powerhouse indeed. He made a prompt decision to leave Shido the Venerable One and the 2 other elders behind while he led the other martial artists to retreat far away. Damn it! Shido the Venerable One was furious. He followed Meng Quan all the way to the Alchemy Union, and from there he killed his way to Giant Shield City. Who would have thought that at the critical moment Meng Quan Hui would abandon them and escape alone? What do we do now? Seeing as Xie Zhe kept approaching them, the Southern Dipper Venerable One and the Northern Dipper Venerable One were terrified. What are you panicking for? Let's split up and kill them. As long as we capture Ning Yu and the others, Xie Zhe will have to hold back. During the critical moment, Shido the Venerable One made the worst decision. Shido the Venerable One charged at Ning Yu as he wanted to capture Ning Yu alive to threaten Xie Zhe. On the other hand, the Southern Dipper and the Northern Dipper, the Venerable, charged at Master Nebula and the others from 2 different directions. Die. Xie Zhe did not care what Shido the Venerable One and the others were thinking. From his point of view, schemes and tricks would be useless in the face of absolute strength. A forceful momentum was released and split into 3, which pressed down on Shido the Venerable One and the others. Ka. Xie Zhe's momentum was that of a peak Sky Supreme, which was extremely powerful. Since Shido the Venerable One and the others were only half-step Sky Supreme powerhouses, it was difficult for them to resist it. The first to give in was Nan Dipper, the Venerable One. Cracking sounds were heard coming from his knees, and he immediately knelt on the ground. Uft! The second to give in was Beidou the Venerable One. He felt a sweetness in his throat, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ah! The third to give in was the stronger Shido the Venerable One. As he screamed like a pig being slaughtered, Shido the Venerable's eyes exploded. His eyes exploded, and his eyeballs shot out and fell to the ground. Although Shido the Venerable One and the others were suffocating from Xie Zhe's momentum, they still held onto the hope of escaping. Instead of thinking about capturing Ning Yu, they turned around and ran into the distance. However, how could Xie Zhe give them the chance to escape? Die. With a low grunt, Xie Zhe's body flickered and split into 3 Xie Zhes. The 3 Xie Zhes dashed out and chased after Shido the Venerable One and the others. Before long, Xie Zhe returned the way he came. However, Xie Zhe was holding Shido the Venerable One and the others in his left and right hands. As for Shido the Venerable One and Nando the Venerable One, they were already dead. It's a pity that Meng Quan and the others escaped. Although Shido Venerable One, Nando Venerable One, and the others were killed by Xie Zhe, Ningyu did not look excited at all. If Meng Quan escaped, the consequences would be unimaginable. Don't worry, I've left a mark on Meng Quan, so I'll go after him now. Xie Zhe cupped his fists and said in a deep voice, Okay, remember your time. If you really can't do it, come back as soon as possible. Ningyu nodded. Xie Zhe was already under Ningyu's control, and he was a rare and powerful martial artist. Hence Ningyu would not let him die. Although the consequences would be unimaginable if he let Meng Quan and the others escape, where there's life, there's hope. After all, his next objective was to head to the Moling mountain range and not stay in the giant shield city. Even if the Alchemy Union came to question him, they would have to consider the 100 Flowers Palace and Xie Zhe. I guarantee that I'll complete the mission. Xie Zhe cupped his fists, and his figure turned illusory. Then he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Rumble. Xie Zhe disappeared, but the battle in the distance had reached its climax. After consuming the elixir, Guo Liang could unleash his pinnacle fighting strength for 10 minutes. As a pinnacle heavenly sovereign, Guo Liang couldn't easily kill a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Yun Feng, those that you brought are either dead or injured. If you continue to be stubborn, I'll definitely take your head. After sparring with Yun Feng for 2 to 3 minutes, Guo Liang took a few steps back and cursed at Yun Feng. As long as you surrender, I can promise not to kill you and let you return to the Alchemy Union. When Ningyu heard the conversation between Guo Liang and Yun Feng, his heart jolted. Guo Liang was different from Xie Zhe. Xie Zhe's life was in his hands. Whatever he wanted Xie Zhe to do, Xie Zhe had to do it. Guo Liang, on the other hand, was a dangerous person. If Guo Liang didn't want to help him, it was useless no matter what he said. Pooh, you're still too inexperienced to want to kill me. Yun Feng spat out a mouthful of saliva and said in a cold voice, Today, I want to see just how capable you are. Don't look at what Yun Feng said on the surface. In reality, he already had a countermeasure in his heart. Guo Liang was injured to begin with. Although he could unleash his pinnacle strength now, Yun Feng believed that as long as he dragged it out a while longer, Guo Liang would definitely expose his disadvantage. At that time, it wouldn't be Guo Liang hunting him down, but he hunting Guo Liang down. Kill, kill, kill. When had Guo Liang ever suffered this kind of humiliation? He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes about to explode. Chapter 1594. Chapter 1594. Chapter 1594 Return. As it turned out, Ningyu had thought too much. Guo Liang only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Yun Feng. The medicinal pills that Ningyu provided to Guo Liang made Guo Liang realize how extraordinary Ningyu was. If he could even get his hands on such a heaven-defying pill, then curing the goo poison in his body would definitely not be a big problem. Rumble. Understanding this, coupled with the fact that Guo Liang still had a few minutes left, Guo Liang used his full strength in every attack and used his killer move. 2 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns clashed, causing the surrounding space to crack and terrifying shock waves to spread out. Fortunately, Guo Liang paid some attention when he was fighting with Yun Feng. Otherwise, Ningyu and the others would have been affected by the aftershocks of their battle. Retreat to Giant Shield City. Ningyu handled matters swiftly and decisively. He knew very well that if he stayed, not only would he not be able to help Guo Liang, he might even become a burden. Therefore, Ningyu made a prompt decision to return to Giant Shield City immediately. Voila! Seeing Ningyu leave, the martial artists of Giant Shield City immediately scattered like birds and beasts, retreating one after another. In the blink of an eye, Ningyu and the others had returned to the Tower of Giant Shield City. On the Tower of Giant Shield City, Bada, the Golden Arowana Fish King, and Grandmaster Xingyan were all paying close attention to the battle between Guoliang and Yunfeng. Their minds were as clear as a mirror. If Yunfeng won, then Giant Shield City would definitely be breached today. At that time, there was a high possibility that they would be beheaded. If Guoliang won, then everything would become clear. Ningyu. Meanwhile, the palace master who'd been silent for a long time stared fixedly at Ningyu, and she said in a low voice, "Will the ancestor be in danger?" The Golden Arowana Fish King and the others were concerned about whether Guoliang would win, while the Centauria Palace Mistress was concerned about whether Xiaze could return alive. The situation was different, so the considerations were different. As far as the Palace Mistress was concerned, Xiaze was the Flower Palace's patriarch, and he was an important factor in whether the Flower Palace could gain a foothold in the Pill Formation continent. It just so happened that the Flower Palace was in chaos, so with Xiaze holding down the fort at this time, it would undoubtedly stabilize the morale of the army. "Don't worry, Xiaze won't be in danger." Ningyu waved his hand and said, "Send out a few agile cultivators to pay close attention to the situation around Giant Shield City. If there are any movements, inform me immediately." Upon hearing Ningyu's commanding tone, Palatial Lord Centauria frowned slightly. Palatial Lord Centauria didn't know of Ningyu's relationship with Xiaze, so she was somewhat repulsed by Ningyu's tone. After all, she was the palace master of the Flower Palace, whereas Ningyu was the hall master of some supreme hall. So what if others saw Ningyu ordering her like this? However, for the sake of the overall situation, Palatial Lord Centauria still followed Ningyu's instructions. She got a few agile warriors to scout for information. Soon, the top of the city gate tower fell silent. This kind of silence was exceptionally frightening. Everyone held their breaths and didn't even dare to breathe loudly, because everyone knew that Guoliang and Yunfeng, who were outside the city, were about to determine the victor. Rumble. Every time Guoliang and Yunfeng made a move, there would be an earth-shattering momentum. After all, they were two pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, so it was reasonable for them to have such momentum. Die. Yunfeng was ruthless and instantly found a flaw in Guoliang's defense. He clenched his right hand into a fist and smashed it towards Guoliang's chest. Facing the fist that was constantly approaching him, Guoliang pretended to have fear in his eyes as he hastily retreated. As Guoliang retreated, Yunfeng became even more insatiable and increased his speed. "Hand your life over." Almost in an instant, Yunfeng arrived before Guoliang. His iron-like fist smashed against Guoliang's chest. Crack! The immense force caused several of Guoliang's ribs to break. "Ha ha ha! You're still not dead." Yunfeng raised his head and let out a wild laugh. His expression was extremely sinister. "You want me to die? Do it in your next life." However, just as Yunfeng was about to make another move to kill Guoliang, the corner of Guoliang's mouth suddenly revealed a smile. This smile was a sinister smile. Not good. Seeing the change in Guoliang's expression, Yunfeng's heart skipped a beat. He quickly retracted his palm and retreated. However, it was obviously too late for Yunfeng to retreat now. Guoliang did not hesitate to break a few of his ribs, just to wait for this moment. Unknowingly, Guoliang had taken out a flying sword and held it in his hand, stabbing it straight at Yunfeng. At such a close distance, coupled with Yunfeng's carelessness, in the end, there was no other possibility. Poof! The sound of a flying sword piercing through flesh resounded in the area. Looking down at the flying sword in his heart, Yunfeng stretched out his right hand and pointed at Guoliang. "I will not let you go. The day I return will be the day you die." Yun Feng's expression became unusually sinister. Swoosh! In the next moment, a cold light shot out from Yun Feng's body. After the cold light shot out, it did not linger. Instead, it tore through the void and flew towards the Alchemy Union. One sword to slay the primordial spirit. Since Guoliang used the trick of injuring himself to trick Yun Feng, he naturally would not make this stupid mistake. The flying sword in his hand slashed repeatedly. In a few moves, Yun Feng's primordial spirit was completely annihilated. The primordial spirit being destroyed meant that Yun Feng was completely dead. Otherwise, when Yun Feng returned to the Alchemy Union, he could use a secret technique to possess a powerful martial artist, then recuperate for a period of time and kill his way back. Now that Guoliang decisively made a move to slay Yun Feng's primordial spirit, it meant that from now on, Yun Feng, this person, disappeared from the world. Thud! Although he killed Yun Feng, Guoliang's injuries were not light either. At the moment of Yun Feng's death, his nerves were completely relaxed. His body fell straight backward, landing heavily on the ground. Golden Arowana Fish King, Saint Devil, you guys follow me out of the city. The rest stay in the city and await orders. How could Ning you leave Guoliang outside the city? He brought the Golden Arowana Fish King and Saint Devil and immediately rushed out. Buzz! However, before Ningyu and the others reached Guoliang, the void in the distance surged. Following that, a martial artist appeared in their vision. Xie Zhe. The person who came was none other than Xie Zhe, who went to chase after Meng Quan. Counting the time, it had already been 9 minutes since Xie Zhe swallowed the elixir. If Xie Zhe did not return in 9 minutes, he would most likely meet with misfortune. Saint Devil, you bring Guoliang back to Giant Shield City first. Ningyu instructed Saint Devil, then quickly came to Xie Zhe's side and asked hurriedly, "How is it? Did you catch all those people from the Alchemy Union in one fell swoop?" What Ningyu was concerned about was the safety of Meng Quan and the rest. Only when they were all dead would Ningyu be at ease. Otherwise, the Supreme Hall that Ningyu had just established would definitely suffer a huge impact. Although Ningyu knew that this matter could not be concealed for too long, it was better to conceal it for a period of time. Chapter 1595. Trap. Xie Zhe took a deep breath when he saw Ningyu's hopeful expression. He shook his head and said, "There were many of them, and they escaped in different directions. Even though I tried my best, there were still 3 cultivators that I didn't manage to kill." Ningyu's face turned cold instantly. If 3 cultivators escaped, it meant that the Alchemy Union's army would soon arrive at Giant Shield City and encircle and annihilate the Supreme Palace that he had established. The only thing he could do now was to set off earlier and attack the Saint-grade crystal mine in the Moling Mountain Range before the Alchemy Union's army arrived. This was the only way to relieve the pressure on Supreme Palace. After all, with the Saint-grade crystal, Supreme Palace could find a place to lie low and slowly accumulate their strength. It wouldn't be too late to come out when they could contend with the Alchemy Union. Of course, this was the only way out. Unless there was no other way, Ningyu would never let Supreme Palace live in seclusion. Although I didn't kill those 3 cultivators, I used a secret technique to trap them in a cave. Xie Zhe didn't dare to delay when he saw Ningyu's gloomy face. He said hurriedly, "I wanted to attack the cave, but there was a peerless array formation at the entrance. There were also experts in the cave helping the 3 cultivators to resist. I saw that the time of the elixir was almost up, so I set up another array formation at the entrance and rushed back to tell you the news." Cave? Ningyu had a feeling that there was a glimmer of hope at the darkest hour of the night. He had thought that he would have to hide with Supreme Palace after the matter was exposed. Who would have thought that Xie Zhe would actually trap the 3 cultivators in the cave? To Ningyu, no matter what kind of experts were in the cave, He was going to kill those 3 cultivators. Ningyu asked in a low voice, "Is there any other exit from that cave?" "Before I left, I purposely investigated the cave. There was only one exit, no other exits," Xieze replied. "There's no time to lose. Let's set off for that cave now." Ningyu knew the seriousness of the matter. As long as they were able to rush to the cave before Xieze's array was broken and capture all the remaining members of the Pill Refining Union in one fell swoop, they would be able to gain enough time. Time was money. With time, Ningyu believed that the Supreme Palace would be able to give the Alchemy Union a huge surprise. But Xieze hesitated when he heard that Ningyu wanted to go to that cave. "In the future, don't hesitate when you speak in front of me. If you have something to say, say it," Ningyu said coldly. "I have fought with that expert in the cave. Although that expert's cultivation is only at the middle phase, Heavenly Sovereign Realm. The cave's terrain is dangerous and it's easy to defend. Furthermore, there's an array around the cave, so it won't be easy for us to break it in a short period of time." Xieze spoke out his worry. No one knew better than Xieze how terrifying that formation was. Even with his peak sky supreme strength, he couldn't break the formation. It was obvious that even if they killed their way back, it would be of no use. "You don't have to worry about that." Ningyu waved his hand and gestured for Xieze to rest here for now. Then Ningyu whispered something into the golden Arowana King's ear before sitting down cross-legged and no longer saying anything. Swoosh! After receiving Ningyu's order, the golden Arowana King's figure dashed towards Giant Shield City. Could it be that Ningyu has a way to break the array at the cave's entrance? Xieze frowned as he watched the golden Arowana King leave, and Ningyu sit down cross-legged. Xieze didn't believe that Ningyu had a way to break the array at the cave's entrance. After all, even he wouldn't be able to break the array in a short period of time, let alone Ningyu. However, he didn't argue with Ningyu when he told him to wait here. Instead, he obediently stayed where he was. He had just gone through a huge battle and had used up quite a bit of his energy. He needed time to recuperate. Creak! About 10 minutes later, the tightly shut city gate of Giant Shield City slowly opened. The golden Arowana King took the lead. After leaving the city gate, he flew towards Ningyu without stopping. Bada, Grandmaster Xingyan, Immortal GMO, and Grandmaster Zhao followed closely behind the golden Arowana King. Their speed wasn't slow either. "Let's go." Seeing the golden Arowana King and the others arrive, Ningyu immediately stood up from the ground. He waved his hand and said in a clear voice, "Xieze, lead the way. We'll go to the cave you mentioned now." Xieze originally wanted to persuade Ningyu, but when he saw Ningyu's posture, it was clear that he had already made up his mind. Xieze had no choice but to swallow his words and lead the way for Ningyu and the others. "Palace Master, do you think the Patriarch will be in danger if he leaves with Ningyu?" Yun Shiferi asked with a solemn expression as she watched Ningyu, Xieze, and the others gradually disappear from the city gate tower. "Don't worry. The Patriarch is powerful. He won't be in danger." The Palace Master waved her hand and said, "When Ningyu and the others are far away, leave the Giant Shield City secretly and bring the Patriarch of Heavenly Secrets here." "What? The Patriarch of Heavenly Secrets is already here." Yun Shiferi's heart skipped a beat when she heard the Palace Master's words. In her view, as long as the Patriarch of Heavenly Secrets arrived, they would know what Ningyu was planning. Yun Shiferi did not reply to the Palace Master's words. Instead, she shifted her gaze outside the Giant Shield City. No one knew what she was thinking. At the same time, Ningyu and the others had already left the Giant Shield City. Xieze led the way at the front. In the middle were Ningyu, Grandmaster Zhao, and Grandmaster Xingyan. At the back were Bada, Immortal GMO, and the Golden Arowana King. The 3 of them were pinnacle, ninth grade Earth sovereigns. In order to eliminate the 3 remaining cultivators of the Alchemy Union, Ning Yu had practically brought along the strongest forces of the Supreme Palace. This time, no matter what, Ning Yu was determined to eliminate the 3 remaining evildoers. How much time do we have left? Ning Yu asked after traveling for about 5 minutes. About half an hour. Xie Zhe replied. Back when Xie Zhe chased after Meng Quan and the others, it only took him 10 minutes to go back and forth. However, at that time, Xie Zhe was able to display the strength of a pinnacle Sky Supreme, so his speed was naturally unbelievably fast. Now that the effects of the elixir had passed, Xie Zhe could only move at the same speed as Ning Yu and the others. Although Ning Yu and the others were already moving at their fastest speed, they still needed half an hour to reach the cave. Ning Yu thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, a minute late could mean an additional variable. Full speed ahead. Whoosh! Ning Yu and the others, who were already in a state of extreme speed, increased their speed once again. The originally half-hour journey was forcefully shortened by Ning Yu and the others to 20 minutes. Is that the cave you were talking about? In a dense bush, Ning Yu pointed at the cave entrance in the distance that could only accommodate one person and asked in bewilderment. The reason why Ning Yu was puzzled was not because of the small size of the cave. It was because Ning Yu did not find any arrays around the cave entrance. According to Xie Zhe, there were a total of 2 arrays at the cave entrance. One was left by the experts inside the cave, and the other was left by him. Chapter 1596. Chapter 1596. Chapter 1596, Small World. That's right. That's the cave I was talking about. Seeing the puzzled look on Ning Yu's face, Xie Zhe nodded his head and said, Don't be fooled by the illusion of the cave entrance. When I chased the 3 cultivators of the Alchemy Union all the way here, I thought I would be able to kill them. Who would have thought that when they were 100 steps away from the cave entrance, they would suddenly disappear? Suddenly disappeared? Ning Yu looked even more puzzled. Logically speaking, the only way to suddenly disappear was to tear open the void and burrow into the void. But from Xie Zhe's words, it seemed that the 3 cultivators had not entered the void, but had disappeared right in front of him. Got it. Suddenly, Ning Yu's eyes widened as he thought of a possibility. In the area outside the cave, there was an extremely brilliant small space. It could also be called a small world, and that small world led straight to the depths of the cave. As for why the cultivators in the cave would save the 3 cultivators from the Alchemy Union, in Ning Yu's opinion, it was completely normal. This miniature world was definitely left behind by the Alchemy Union. In other words, the hidden expert in the cave was from the Alchemy Union. Master Zhao. Thinking about it, Ning Yu looked at Grandmaster Zhao. I'll give you half an hour to set up a ternary origin array at the entrance to prevent any middle phase heavenly sovereigns from escaping. No problem, but I need a few helpers. Master Zhao knew that once Ning Yu made up his mind, he could not stop him. Moreover, he still wanted to use Ning Yu's hand to save his granddaughter. So at this time he must promise Ning Yu and do his best to do things for Ning Yu. However, even though Master Zhao's attainments and formations were very deep, it was very difficult for him to set up a 3-yuan formation in a short period of time. He needed the help of Master Xingyun and the others. As long as you can arrange the ternary formation, nothing will be a problem. Ning Yu waved his hand and said in a deep voice, Buddha, Dao Master GMO, Grandmaster Xingyun, Golden Arowana King. The 4 of you stay and help Grandmaster Zhao. Xie Zhe, follow me into the cave. Enter the cave? Ning Yu's words stunned Xie Zhe. The 2 spell formations at the entrance of the cave had only been suppressed by the small world and had not disappeared. Let's not talk about whether the array was still there or not. Even if the array wasn't there, he still couldn't enter the cave. Entering the cave was no small matter. If they were to encounter an ambush, the consequences would be unthinkable. It was unwise to enter the cave at this time. Ha ha, you don't have to worry at all. We are just going to the entrance of the cave to challenge them. When the time comes, the cultivators in the cave will naturally come out. Ningyu smiled, then dashed out of the bushes and rushed toward the cave. When he was 101 steps away from the cave entrance, Ningyu stopped and shouted towards the cave entrance, "Old dog Mengquan, come out and die!" On the way here, Ningyu had already learned from Xieze who the 3 cultivators trapped in the cave were. One was Mengquan, and the other 2 were peak 9th grade Earth Supremes. The reason why Ningyu came to the cave entrance and shouted was not because he really wanted to enter the cave, but because he wanted to buy time for Grandmaster Zhao. The ternary formation was very difficult to set up. Not only did it take time, but it also required a lot of materials. Fortunately, Ningyu had instructed the Arowana King to prepare a lot of herbs in Giant Shield City. Otherwise, Grandmaster Zhao would not be able to set up the ternary formation no matter how much time he had. After all, even the cleverest housewife cannot cook without rice. However, no matter how much Ningyu shouted, there was no movement from the cave. Not even a fly flew out. I can't continue like this. After shouting for a while and seeing that no one came out from the cave, Ningyu frowned slightly. He felt that it was time to change his strategy. If this went on, it would only exhaust his energy. It would be useless for attacking the cave. Ningyu looked at Xieze and said, "Attack the cave." Okay. Xieze did not know what Ningyu was thinking, but after hearing Ningyu's words, he believed that Ningyu wanted to enter the cave. Xieze felt that if he did not let Ningyu see the power of the formation, Ningyu would not give up. Therefore, Xieze nodded and flicked his wrist. He did not hesitate to use his life force to launch an attack. Swoosh! The cold light tore through the void and headed straight for the cave entrance. Xieze was very smart. He did not really want to break the cave, but he controlled the cold light to attack the formation at the cave entrance. Whoosh! The formation was instantly activated under the impact of the cold light. There were 2 formations at the cave entrance, one in front and one behind, restricting each other. There was no need to think. The formation near the cave entrance was left by the mid-stage sky supreme inside the cave. The formation near Ningyu was left by Xieze himself. Looks like it's going to be very difficult to break that formation. After the formation appeared, Ningyu's perception was firmly locked on the formation. It was no wonder that Ningyu was shocked. When Xieze's cold light approached the array formation, it was quickly absorbed and disappeared. Even someone as strong as Xieze couldn't break the formation by burning his life force, let alone Lin Fan. Ningyu, you little thief, don't be too happy. I will definitely kill you with my own hands. At this moment, a deafening sound suddenly rang out in the cave. Mengquan, you're finally willing to come out. Ningyu looked at Mengquan and asked, "Where are the other 2 Alchemy Union cultivators? Where's the mid-stage Sky Supreme?" "Humph, there's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a pig. I can chop off your head myself." Mengquan was extremely arrogant and fearless. As he spoke, Mengquan placed his right hand on his waist, as if he would attack at any moment. Mengquan's action made Ningyu very suspicious. Mengquan had a fearless personality. If it wasn't for his subtle action, Ningyu definitely wouldn't have suspected him. But it was Mengquan's action that made Ningyu secretly cautious. Mengquan didn't let his other 2 companions come out, and he did something that doesn't make sense. Ningyu fell into deep thought. Under normal circumstances, Mengquan's 2 companions would definitely come out to fight. Now that they didn't come out, it was natural for Ningyu to be suspicious. Could Mengquan have already been possessed by the mid-stage Sky Supreme expert in the cave? Suddenly, Ning Yu's heart trembled as he vaguely thought of a possibility. When this possibility appeared, it had been lingering in Ning Yu's mind for a long time, possessing Meng Quan and devouring the other two peak ninth grade Earth Supremes. If that was the case, then Grandmaster Zhao's ternary formation might not be of much use. Let's test him. Ning Yu rolled his eyes and decided to test Meng Quan. Chapter 1597. Chapter 1597. Chapter 1597 Countermeasure. Humph! Yunfeng's death is absolutely irreconcilable. Just wait to be surrounded and killed by the cultivators of the Alchemy Union. Meng Quan grunted coldly, and his expression was extremely savage. Did I guess wrong? Meng Quan's ferocious expression caused Ning Yu to be slightly perplexed. However, Ning Yu was not someone who gave up easily. He had to find out if Meng Quan had already been possessed by the expert in the cave. This was a matter of great importance. If Meng Quan had already been possessed, then the worry in his heart would lessen a little. As long as the Alchemy Union didn't know that Yun Feng and the others had died in his hands, he could make use of this time to seize the Saint Grade crystal mine and attack the Jin family. Meng Quan, what you are relying on is nothing more than the formation at the cave entrance and the small world. With a faint smile, Ning Yu placed his hands behind his back and said confidently, I've observed it just now. This small world of yours is not particularly stable. As long as Xie Zhe, who is next to me, attacks with all his might, there is a high chance that this small world will be destroyed. You want to use brute force to break open a small world? The corners of Meng Quan's mouth curled up into an arc as he gloomily said, You really are boasting shamelessly. I want to see exactly how you break open my miniature world. Looks like Meng Quan has indeed been possessed. From the words of this Meng Quan before him, Ning Yu had basically determined that the original Meng Quan had already been possessed. This Meng Quan was not that Meng Quan. Let's go. After discovering this secret, Ning Yu immediately turned around and left. Seeing Ning Yu leave, Xie Zhe was a little stunned. Just now, Ning Yu said that he was going to attack the cave. Why did he turn around and leave when he saw Meng Quan? Could it be that he was scared by Meng Quan? Xie Zhe was very confused. However, Xie Zhe would not go against Ning Yu's wishes. In any case, not attacking the cave was also what Xie Zhe wanted. Whoosh! In a flash, Xie Zhe followed closely behind Ning Yu, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Buzz! Not long after, the void in the bushes slowly split open, and Ning Yu and Xie Zhe appeared. Voila! Not long after, Master Zhao and the golden arowana Fish King also appeared around Ning Yu. Why did you call us back? Master Zhao was the first to reveal a confused expression. He had set up the ternary formation properly and had consumed a lot of materials. Just as the ternary formation was halfway set up, who would have thought that Ning Yu would call them back at this time? One had to know that once the ternary formation was disrupted, it would be extremely difficult to reconnect it. In other words, the ternary formation had been destroyed and had to be reconstructed. Calm down. Ning Yu raised his right hand and slowly pressed it downwards. He said, Our objective this time was to kill Meng Quan and the other two. However, through my observations, I discovered that Meng Quan and the other two have already been killed. Killed? Ning Yu's words made Grandmaster Zhao and the others look surprised. Meng Quan was still standing at the entrance of the cave just now. Why did Ning Yu say that they had been killed? I got it. Suddenly, Grandmaster Xingyan exclaimed. Meng Quan's actions are very different from before. Furthermore, I can see that his eyes are flickering, as if he doesn't want to face us. However, his words are extremely arrogant, and he's trying his best to cater to the original Meng Quan. Therefore, I'm sure that Mang Quan has already been killed by the middle stage, Heavenly Supreme. That's right. Ningyu nodded, agreeing with Master Xing Yun's analysis. Since the three of them are dead, can we return to Giant Shield City? Xie Zhe asked hesitantly. Don't keep thinking about returning to Giant Shield City. Ningyu glanced at Xie Zhe and said without batting an eyelid, destroy the formation at the entrance of the cave and create a false impression for the expert in the cave that we're retreating. Then Ningyu looked at Master Zhao and said, think of a way to set up a formation. Find a way to set up an array. This time, it has to be an array that can trap a late phase, heavenly sovereign. Hearing this, Master Zhao's heart skipped a beat. He could feel the pressure. He could indeed set up a formation that could trap a late-stage Sky Supreme, but it would require a huge amount of materials. Not only did he need materials, but he also needed a powerful cultivator to guard the formation. If the formation was destroyed, the cultivator would die. Don't worry, I've prepared enough materials. If you need anything, tell the Goldfish King and have him return to Giant Shield City to prepare it. Ningyu saw through Master Zhao's worry and said, also, the few of us can guard the formation. You don't have to worry about that. As long as there are enough materials and people guarding the eye of the array, I can set up the 5 elements array in 2 hours. Master Zhao's eyes flashed as he said in a deep voice, the 5 elements formation was an ancient formation that had been passed down to the present day. There were many ways to set it up. However, Master Zhao was the chief formation master of the central mainland. He had the most primitive method to set up the 5 elements formation. It could be said that the 5 elements formation that Master Zhao had mastered was the orthodox 5 elements formation. Its power was also the most terrifying. Master Zhao believed that once the 5 elements formation was set up, not to mention a late-stage Sky Supreme, even a peak-stage Sky Supreme would be trapped inside. Of course, it could trap a late-stage Sky Supreme for an hour. A peak-stage Sky Supreme could only trap 10 minutes. I'll give you whatever you want. However, if you can't set up the 5 elements formation, I'll hold you responsible. Ningyu's words revealed a little viciousness. Ningyu had naturally heard of the 5 elements formation and the most primitive method to set it up. The reason why Ningyu didn't ask Master Zhao to set up the 5 elements formation right from the start was because he was worried that Master Zhao wouldn't be up to the task. Now that Master Zhao had suggested setting up the 5 elements formation, Ningyu didn't stop him. Instead, he would provide whatever Master Zhao wanted. No problem. Master Zhao patted his chest. I'll set up the 5 elements formation, even if I have to risk my life. After that, Master Zhao told the Golden Arowana King the materials needed to set up the 5 elements formation and told it to go to Giant Shield City to look for them. Ningyu didn't stop him. He turned to Master Xingyan and said, you go back to Giant Shield City and try to make another pill. I'm afraid that the 5 elements formation won't be able to trap the cultivator in the cave. I'll need Xie Zhe's help if necessary. This time, Master Xingyan didn't nod. Instead, he slowly shook his head. I've gathered all the herbs in Giant Shield City and only managed to find enough to make 2 pills. That's a bit troublesome. The cleverest housewife couldn't cook without rice. No matter how good an alchemist was, they couldn't make pills without the herbs. Ningyu originally wanted to rely on Xie Zhe to deal with the cultivator in the cave. Now, it seemed like he had to rely on himself. Xie Zhe, stay here and watch the cave. I'll be right back. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.